Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
So, question for you, Obi.
Yeah.
How do you give up 9 runs in the first inning of a game and not only win the game, you run rule them? How does that happen? Because it happens with this A&M baseball team, because before the weekend started, I was at Bluebell talking to people like, this is the first time ever. I had a lot of people tell me this, that we're down by 5 runs and I'm never scared. I feel like and this was 9 runs, OB. And what do? Not only do they win that game, they win the series. Unfortunately, they lose game 3 of the series. That's all right. 6 straight series won by Texas A&M against ranked teams.
Yeah, you know, I was at the game, and how you get down is, 2 walks, 2 hit batters, a couple home runs, and doing things that are helping the other team.
Mm-hmm.
But then that, and I have to admit, 9-0. If you're down 5-0 with this team, you don't think twice about it, really.
Right.
But when you're down 9-0, you think, okay,
all right,
you're going to have to try to chip away, but can you keep them from scoring? So, scoring 19 unanswered runs was amazing, but not giving up another one.
Not another run.
That was crazy.
It was a 19-0 run, as they say.
Yeah. So I got to thinking, it's impressive in football if you score 19 unanswered points. That's impressive.
That is impressive.
In basketball, it happens. You don't see it happen often. In baseball, that's unworldly.
You don't score 19 in a game, much less 19 in a row.
Especially against a ranked opponent.
Against a team that mashes.
The team that's like leading with the guy that leads the nation.
Charlie Condon.
And then I got to thinking, I've been so fortunate in my life, and I probably turned this into an easy column today. I've been so fortunate in my life to cover a lot of A&M events that are some of the most amazing things you'd ever see.
Right.
I was in Oklahoma City when they were down 12 with 32 seconds to go. I was at Kyle Field when they went 7 overtimes. They had to score late and then to get overtime, and then 7 overtimes against LSU. I saw
you were in Memphis.
I was
win the game, but
Well, actually, the way Wade played in game 1 was pretty remarkable. But
in Memphis, they were down. What was it, 12 with 2 minutes left?
Yeah, and almost came back.
And they forced overtime, and with the most beautiful shot by Anderson Garcia. But
I was in Houston when, and this is a little bit different, but how often do you see a guy return a kickoff for a touchdown?
Not often.
How often do you see it happen twice in the same game?
Not often.
How often do you see it twice on back-to-back kickoffs?
Probably never.
I saw Leland McElroy do it back-to-back. So I get to think about some of the, and then not all the things I've seen have been good.
Right.
I did see a 34-point lead.
Okay, stop. See,
so
you had me until then.
But just think about some of the most amazing things that happen in sports that happen right here. To be down 9-0 and to run rule your opponent.
Run rule them. Look, I know how Schloss operates and how he thinks in that ball club or that program across the street. They're mad they didn't get that last game, right? There's no doubt. But if you look at the thin margins that this team has played with, okay, their last 3 losses have been the last game of a series, if I got it all correct. Am I right about that? Georgia. Yep. Okay. South Carolina. It goes all back. They're all within a run of each other, okay? They've got 6 losses on the year. 3 have been on the last day of a series, right?
Yeah.
And by 1 run, and 2 of those 3, by the way, with runners in scoring position with a chance to tie or win. This last game, though, struck out 3 straight dudes.
18 strikeouts in that game.
Huh.
18 times you struck out. Now, we can ask questions of why there were so many strikeouts. And was it on the up and up?
So there's video that I didn't ask to put on the show. What's the guy's name? Christian Macarena?
Yeah.
Can we play Macarena?
Macarena.
I don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm sure Brauninger will be able to tell me. Strikes out 6 of the 7 batters he faced. Okay? And I would say our dudes that we're used to seeing, like MASH, they didn't look like themselves at the plate. I wonder why.
Yeah, and maybe the guy was just pitching great, or maybe there was something to do with that video where he's crouched down in the.
So when I first saw it, because I'm an idiot, and you know that, I thought he was maybe using the restroom. Is what I first thought. Like maybe that's how there's not a restroom close by, so he's just kind of like.
Yeah, maybe.
And then I'm like, no, there's no puddle. Huh. Not that I investigated. And then I'm like, it sure seems like he's doing something he don't want people to see.
And then he's, doing something with his glove during between. Yeah.
Look, I don't know the kid.
Suspicious.
It's suspicious. There you go. That's the right word. Definitely suspicious. By the way, I haven't told the people. They probably don't even know what they're listening to.
They know.
You think they know?
Yeah, but you can tell them anyway.
I forgot the name of the show. What's it called?
It's the Go Hour, TexAgs Radio, the Go Hour.
Presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations.
CC Creations.
That's right. Yeah. We're in the Rollo Insurance.
Jason Rollo Insurance Studio.
Yeah, that guy is awesome. So is Jackson. They're both great. And, this entire presentation is brought to you by
David Gardner's Jewelers.
Great guy.
He's gem of a guy.
Gem or Jim?
Gem.
He is a gem of a human. So is Julia. Absolutely.
What else would a jeweler be?
A gem.
Yes,
a
sir.
gem. So, hey, we'll talk some baseball throughout the hour. Let me tell you what we have on the program, by the way, just so you kind of know. So this hour, the Go Hour, you know that. Schloss and Brauninger. 9:35. Andrew Monaco, the voice. I'm a big fan of Andrew Monaco.
I am too.
Always in a good mood.
Yeah, I envy that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
I mean, I'm not either. Like, things ruffle my feathers, OB.
You don't say.
Yeah. I'm trying to be nicer. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to be nicer. And then in 10 o'clock hour, Billy Liucci will join us for the hour. All right, so, yes, sir.
No, I just thought of something I was supposed to give to Billy, and I left it at home. Tomorrow. Or the next day.
So I was at a family event, the Abayos in Houston. Awesome family. And Aggies, by the way. Celebrating Carlos Abayo's 80th birthday party. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And wonderful event. He's like my uncle. And we're at this thing, and everybody wanted to talk Aggie baseball with me. And I'm going to tell you right now, in my 25-year career covering sports, Aggie baseball is typically not the starter around a bunch of Aggies. Mm-hmm. They like Aggie baseball. They're aware. This was not the first question was not about Coach Elko. Coach Elko came. Those questions came. I'm talking Aggies galore at this party, okay? The first thing was, hey, man, what's the score of the game? Did you see what we did? You think we're going to win it all? Tell me about Schloss. Tell me about Braden Montgomery. All the Aggies were talking to me about it, and they're looking at their phones. Oh, man, we're down. This is, all right, we're going to win. That's how the entire evening was. That just shows you where I think this team, this program, what Schloss has built in his 3 years, that it is a headline sport no matter what. Like right now we are talking, and baseball is, but like it's up there. It's the first question even before football.
Yeah, well, baseball's always, in my opinion, been the number 2 sport at A&M. And when you got a team like this that are doing some amazing things, that just adds to the excitement. But I want to, if you don't mind,
of course,
I want to just throw this out for our listeners and
let them catch it.
Viewers. I would like for you to tell me, if you text it in or whatever, what's the most amazing thing you've seen with A&M athletics, but you can't use the 9-run the 9-run deficit come behind, and you can't use the 7 overtime game, and you can't use the Oklahoma City miracle comeback in basketball.
Look, I'm going to be a prisoner of recency bias. I still think the Bama win. And I'm sure there's more miraculous wins, but every time Bama had an answer, A&M countered, right? Whenever it looked like Bama was going to, and that, I wish they would have made more of that season because that game would even be bigger, right? But it felt like this is going to be their third straight loss. Am I right? Am I remembering time correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt like it was going to be their third straight loss heading into that game. Although I did predict the victory. I think it's a little cow hurt on me. Just go opposite of what everybody else is saying. But I did predict the victory there. But I think for me, Seth Small hitting that, the way Zach Calzada played, it was a magical evening, and it felt magical when we walked into Kyle Field.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
I'm sure there's more, but that's the first one that comes to mind.
I'd seen A&M beat the number one team before, including Alabama, on the road.
On the road, yeah.
I've seen them beat Oklahoma number one here. I think Nebraska might have been number two. So I'm not discounting that.
You're just saying you've seen it.
Seen something that's really miraculous, that you just that you may never see again. Is there anything? I think I didn't see it.
Okay.
I did not see it. But I've heard the story about John Byington ending both ends of a doubleheader against Texas with walk-off home runs. Is that right? One a grand slam, one a three-run shot.
I feel like I've heard that.
Is that
too.
right?
Yeah.
That would
Richard,
if I had seen it with my own eyes, I'd probably have to put that on the list if that's the way it unfolded.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Yeah.
There may not be.
It's got to be. Well, I mean, the people who are listening are way smarter than we are, so they'll
I'm hoping they'll help me do my job for me.
Hey, and by the way, you know what's great?
What?
We're way better at our job when the teams across the street are good.
Well,
people like us more.
Well,
that's a fact, because I'm walking around Olsen, and I felt like I was Billy Liucci for a few minutes. Like, hey, Nuño, it was. And there have been times that I've walked around Kyle Field and people don't know who I am.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see that.
Yeah, I was at all three games, and it's fun. There's a guy who sits behind 2 rows behind where I'm sitting. He goes by the name Groho. Fun guy, nice guy. Yeah, talking to me. I'd get up, and again, it's because people are excited about the game and they want to talk about it. So I don't know how. You know who caught the Mark Chestnut? Not Mark Chestnut.
Travis Chestnut.
Travis Chestnut. Mark Chestnut's a country singer. Bronny's got me going crazy here. You know who caught Travis Chestnut's game-ending 2-run homer in Game 1 on Saturday?
Who?
Moose Muhammad.
What?
And I bet he caught it with one hand.
Is that on the boards? How do we know this information?
Because I saw Moose. Moose told me.
He caught it.
I think he told me. Yeah, he said, "Hey, I caught it." Or I mean, we caught it. When he said we caught it,
and that's not the most miraculous catch he's ever had either. By the way, he's had others.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Moose.
But what I love is that Moose and other football players are out there watching.
Let's go. Absolutely. Basketball, does as well. This is Coffee Talk, presented by TexAgs.com or TexAgs.com/coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to TexAgs.com/coffee. Get yourself some coffee. Let's give out a coffee.
Do so.
19. Texture number 19 because of the 19-9 win.
Unanswered runs.
19 unanswered runs. The 19th texture to say, you got to text, guys. 19. Coffee. You're going to get yourself a free batch of TexAgs coffee out there. And yes, David in Houston reminds me a game that I was at, the AC Law shot.
Okay.
That's my favorite moment that I've covered. Is it the most amazing? It started an amazing run, right? It felt like this team was going to. That's the moment we realized, I think they're going to the tournament, for me, at least. Yeah. All right, let's go around the room and say hello to the people. You want to be a part of the conversation, you can text us that answer, by the way, 979-693-1150. Call us, text us, whatever you want. Let's go say hi behind the glass to Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all. And I just went and looked at the Travis Chestnut game-winning home run, and Moose is the one that retrieved the home run ball. So I find that interesting. He's standing with a group of a couple of Aggie football players. So
did he
did not catch it on the fly. He got it on the ground. But either way, it's still...
He got it.
Yeah, he was there. He hustled in, and he made the play. But anyways, fun
I like
weekend.
that hat, buddy.
Thanks. Thank you.
It's really nice.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Thank you.
Really nice.
Me and Coach Corton were that close, right? He's like, hey, Nick, here's a hat.
Coach K.
Just kidding.
The real Coach K.
I got it from you, David. Thank you for the hat.
Thank you, Coach Corton, for giving it to me.
Yeah.
Continue on. Sorry, buddy.
Well, I mean, it was a fun weekend. Like you said, I'd never seen anything like we saw in Game 1 on Saturday. Game 3, second game on Saturday. A little disappointing. I got to go out to that game. But, just, again, won the series. What more can you ask? And 4 Aggies got drafted? I know we'll get into that a little bit later, but it was a good weekend. I was surprised to see Anias go so late, but the Eagles, that just seems like a good fit for him, doesn't it?
Hey, buddy.
I know you don't like.
So,
Obi. I should have thought about that before I said that.
So we're monitoring the game. We're monitoring the draft on, what was that, Saturday? Watching my boys play soccer at a game. By the way, Cruz scored in that game. And Philip Vargas, who's a good friend of mine, has been on the fan show before. This is the first one to see that Anais goes to the Eagles. And he goes, Olin Buchanan. He just knew. It's like, because that's like your favorite Aggie going to your most hated team.
It's my own kind of personal hell. Because I want to always root for Anais.
Yeah.
I guess I can root for him personally and hope his team still loses.
I've told you this before. I grew up a diehard Charles Barkley fan. He is my favorite athlete of all time. The Rockets played the Suns twice on their way to the championships, and I always wanted for Charles to get 33 and 33. 33 points, 33 rebounds, but for the Suns to lose by 33. That was a perfect day for me.
It's like anybody else. Anybody else. Oh, well.
The Commanders?
I don't have any – I don't like them.
Right.
But I don't have the animosity for the Commanders or the Giants or anybody that I have for the Eagles. And they get what I believe will be an absolute steal in the draft in the 5th round.
Obi, we're getting a lot of responses to your question, so
okay.
we're going to get into that here in a moment as well. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Aggies gather there at the Angry Elephant. Eric Casares. Buddy, how was the weekend?
Oh, it was a good weekend in Philly. We left on Wednesday, so we were there until Saturday. Had a couple groups come back at different times, but fun weekend overall. And yeah, I got to watch the draft, got to talk about the draft on my own podcast, so I was super excited about that. And yeah, it was a great weekend. Obviously, Anais Smith, Obi, I was the exact same way. But yeah, good for him. Always going to root for him as long as the Eagles lose, of course.
Hey, your hair looks a little different. Is there something different with the hair going on there?
It's just getting really long. I need a haircut.
It looks a little more brown.
I know my mom is watching right now, so I'm sorry, Mom. I told her I'm gonna get a haircut before SEC. So
it looks good.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it looks different. It looks a little bit more brown to me.
I appreciate it. I think my hair looks better short. People have told me long, so I'll take it.
Why don't we? Okay, I got a bit. Let's let Olin cut your hair. And if it doesn't work, that'd be great.
You don't want that.
What do you think, Eric?
Does Olin know how to give a fade?
I know how to give a fade. I'll show you some of my examples of fade. They're not always balanced, right? Like it's a little slopey at times, but
I butcher my hedges when I trim them.
Do you?
Yeah.
What else you got for us, Eric?
Well, yeah, let me go ahead and read some text messages because it's popping right now. So first of all, in regards to Obi's question, the first one, 979 number said, Randy Madison breaking the world record shot.
Matson.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Is I know that because our team room is named after him.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's crazy. Randy Matson is breaking the world record shot put in Kyle Field. He didn't say the year, but that was pretty interesting.
67 or something like that. I don't know. I might not have. Okay, yeah, that's amazing. I wasn't there to see it, obviously.
Yeah.
I was about 5 years old then, but I'm sure that was amazing to see.
How about this one? Sutton and College Station, 1986, Bo Jackson goal line stand.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone back and watched Bo Jackson highlights?
Oh, yeah. Dude was crazy. he didn't play long enough to be like, I think, in my opinion, he didn't play long enough to be like a top 5 running back all time. I think he could have been.
Oh, he was definitely on his way.
Yeah, he was on his
way.
I
would say it's one of those things. At his best, one of the best.
Yep.
At his best. Unfortunately, he got hurt, and so we didn't see him at his best for long.
Yeah. Was it the Kansas City playoff game when he got hurt?
I know it was a playoff game. I thought it was against Cincinnati.
Maybe it was against Cincinnati. Was it his hip? It was?
Yeah, he was running so fast that when his leg got caught, it was like he just has so much power. The same thing happened to me or you.
Right.
No big deal. He had so much power, it dislocated his hip when he had to.
He was so much fun to watch. By the way, completely different type of personality. But I was watching the OJ documentaries coming up on my Netflix thing, and I'd watched it before. And just watching some of his highlights, my goodness, he was good as a football player. What a slimy human being,
1968 game-winning run against
UCLA.
UCLA is one of the great college football
of
plays
all time.
of all time.
90 yards, was it?
I don't think it was 90, but it was. I think they had the ball at the 20.
Okay.
Yeah,
80-ish yards.
But it was,
in the last 2 minutes of that game, right?
Everybody had a chance to hit him, and nobody did.
And they had chances. But he was quick. Eric, let's get one more text in.
One more text. Okay, yeah. So this one is Fred in College Station. He said Aggies beating U of H at Kyle Field when they had Andre Ware in the run and shoot.
That was a beatdown, if I remember correctly, right?
I thought it was like 15-7 or something.
Was there one time with Andre Ware they did destroy him?
There may have been. I think the famous one, though, was because that's when he was winning the Heisman.
89.
And I don't, I may have it wrong. But they like sacked him like 10 times. And it was was it Aaron Murray? Not Aaron Murray.
Aaron Glenn?
Before Aaron Glenn. The guy who played for the Raiders. God, I can't believe I said Aaron Murray. That's the Georgia quarterback.
And a frequent contributor to the show.
Raiders coach up in Dallas. Gosh, why am I with the Blitz brothers with John Roper, Wallace? Aaron Wallace. Was it him? Anyway, it may not have been him. Somebody's picking up Andre Ware's head like David holding up the head of Goliath, his helmet. Yeah, it was an amazing day.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, a little bit more about the weekend. I'm going to get into that. But right now, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. If you're looking for a job, that's the place to start your search, guys, because they're looking for great professionals out there in marketing, several other departments out there, fundraising, former student programs, and much, much more. If you want to get back to Aggieland, and I get asked this all the time, this past weekend at the party I was at, people were asking me, like, how's it like to live there? It's awesome. How about having a job and living here, too? Be awesome, and you can do that at the Association of Former Students, the nation's premier alumni association and oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network. The association plays a part in every Aggie story from howdy to here. Join a team that exemplifies the Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/associationjobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, OB, David Nuño, Monday, April 29th, 2024. OB, I got a couple little stories to tell from this weekend. So on Friday, I am trying to meet up with a buddy of mine, and I was introduced to Mike Grahovec and also to Mark Rudis. Couldn't have been nicer, dads, obviously, to Gavin and Brad. First off, they're both like jacked, like both could kick everybody's butts here, including Bronny. But also very complimentary of what we do at TexAgs. They were just They were very nice people. I saw Billy talking to them, and I thought they were player parents. And then later on, I was brought in and introduced. They couldn't have been cooler. There were some other parents there that I didn't get to chat with, but just a cool group of people. They were all very, very polite, and they like what we do here at TexAgs. So I at least wanted to give them a little shout out.
Yeah, that's nice.
And obviously, there was a play you'll remember on Friday that I didn't get to see because I was talking to Mr. Grahovec, the defensive play that Gavin made at third. And was it a double play? I believe it was. Regardless, he made a play with guys on, and because he was talking to me, he didn't get to see it live. And all the parents were like, oh, you missed it. So I was like, all right, I'm backing out. I'm so sorry. I'm walking out. I'm walking away. But they were awesome.
I know. I don't mean to steal the moment, but that just made me think of the ultimate parent miss was that Oklahoma City game. And Admon Gilder's parents left early thinking, well, might as well get on back down. And, of course, Admon was the guy that got the steal and the layup that forced overtime, and they missed it. You know what was the only thing that was bad or unfortunate, or however you want to say it, about that 19-9 victory?
What's that?
It almost makes you forget that spectacular game on Friday.
Yeah, it was a spectacular game.
It was a spectacular
4 homers, great defense, great pitching.
And every time Charlie Condon came to bat, nobody was on.
Yeah, I remember. Hit a home run with nobody on. All right, whatever.
So that was such a spectacular.
It was.
Just edge of your seat kind of baseball game. And you think, man, well, what an amazing game. Gosh. Yep. And then you top it the next day.
You do. Johnny Topper. The only problem I had with the walk-up victory was I wanted to tax Georgia's bullpen a little bit more. You know, like, how about going a couple more innings? And then, you know.
Well, they were taxed enough to where they felt the need to. They might have felt the need to, you know, call in.
Sustain some. No.
Call in the MDs for the baseball.
Another one that just shows the power of Aggieland.
Doctorate.
So I'm not popular.
Maybe that guy was just studying for his doctorate degree.
That's what he was doing. I'm not cool enough to get invited to suites often.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are. So I had a buddy, Bradley, who was in the third base suite. And he was like, meet me at the third base suite. I didn't know how to get there. And I'm literally for 20 minutes, people were walking by like, what? Why is Nuño standing? I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get there.
Did you find
I found a way eventually. Well, yeah, and they're like, oh, you just go there. But I was just waiting. I eventually found my way there, okay? And it was cool because Trev Alberts was in there. I didn't get to talk to Trev, but he was in the same suite. And I'm talking to my buddy Bradley. He tells me this story about a young man who goes to A&M, Mason Horenstein. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Okay.
Freshman soil and crop science major at A&M.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago, he was out and he sustained an injury in his left eye that left him blind in his right eye. So he hit his left eye, made him blind in the right eye. I guess chips from the facial structure went to the right side, blinded him. And his parents are both Aggies. His mom put a note on the parents board of Aggie Chat and said she was looking for a neuro-ophthalmologist. I can't say that word. Ophthalmologist? How do you say the eye doctor?
Optometrist?
Optometrist, maybe. But that's not.
Ophthalmologist?
Ophthalmologist. No, it's not what it says here. But maybe that's what he meant. But regardless.
Hey, eye doc Mike, help us out.
Yeah, it's not what Mike does. It's the other one, okay? And then within a few minutes, and I apologize for butchering that, he got a response from a former student that's working for one of the best doctors.
Of course he did.
In Houston. And Mason began observation and treatment about 12 days ago. He had surgery, got out of the hospital last Friday, back on campus, still needs a lot of prayers, but can start to see a little bit of images, and they're hoping he returns fully out there. But it's just a great Aggie story.
Aggies
great
helping
bull.
Aggies, man.
Yeah. So
Aggies
I just wanted to share that because he was telling me this. I'm like, that is such an A&M story. Like when you feel
really
like
is.
you're you're down on your luck, you have no help. Help me. You know, for a parent, you know how anxious those moments are. Like, please, somebody help. And within minutes, an Aggie helped out.
One of the reasons why I'm so glad I live here, and I'm so disappointed myself that I never was able to attend Texas A&M. I wish I was a full-fledged vested Aggie.
I think maybe he was
things like that.
I think he may have misspelled the word.
Okay.
So maybe that's why I was saying it wrong. So whatever. Bottom line is, Spirit of Aggieland is great. So that was on my Friday at Olson, which was obviously a magical evening for multiple reasons. And now Tarleton State is that Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday, right?
It is Tuesday. The Texans of Tarleton State, the Purple Texans.
The Purple Texans. So we'll get people ready for that. We'll read some more text messages when we come back. Right now, time for Milliken Reserve, a farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. They're dedicated to treading lightly on that beautiful land that's out there at Milliken Reserve, creating a sanctuary for family, for nature, and for community. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community and for your family to be able to connect and come together and just enjoy time outside, enjoy that sunlight and just the open space that they have there. 2,600 acres out there, 30 miles of trails. They got beautiful homes out there as well, and they connect families to nature and to each other. With an extensive network of trails throughout a wooded landscape, and it's got walking paths, equestrian paths, creeks, ponds, gathering areas, you name it. They're committed to maintaining and restoring that beautiful natural habitat with the white-tailed deer that's out there, the songbirds, the rabbits, the turtles. And homeowners there at Milliken Reserve sharing a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation, you come back to that pristine countryside place. The neighborhoods there are amazing. You got the creek, which are homes on 10-plus acre wooded estates. You've got the hollow and a private gated community out there, and the meadows, which are homes responsive to that natural surrounding. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. Again, that website, millikenreserve.com. Hey, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. PKO. You know what that means?
PKO?
Yeah, PKO.
I know TKO is a technical knockout.
What do you think a PKO is?
I think I should know this.
You should, but it's okay.
And I don't
when
know.
I tell you what it is, you'll be like, oh, yeah.
And
PKO.
I should know this.
What's that? Eric, do you know what PKO is?
No, it sounds like a volleyball term.
No?
No, I know what it is, but I don't know what. I can't think of what it is.
Nick Savage, what's PKO?
That would be preseason kickoff.
That's
TexAgs
what it is,
preseason
yeah.
kickoff.
My man knows.
You should be there.
Yeah, we're going to have the premium board tickets going on sale at 9 o'clock. Let me give the particulars.
Yeah. Elko. Schloss.
Keep going. That was great.
I don't know who else is going to be there, to be honest.
Hopefully Buzz. Hopefully all the coaches come by. We hope.
That'd be sick.
But that was a great movie phone voice.
Billy Liucci.
Do a promo. Cut a promo for PKO July 27th, premium board tickets.
Take me off the camera, please. I need to do this without seeing myself. There we go.
Ready, go.
I need the TexAgs preseason kickoff. Be there. Elko, Jim Schlossnagle, Billy Liucci, David Nuño, Olin Buchanan.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to.
Hunter Goodwin. Sorry,
All right,
your
I'm
voice
done.
is better. By the way, the title sponsor is Power 5 Financial. Ready, go.
Power 5, brought to you by Power 5 Financial.
Open registration right now, April 29th at 9 o'clock. There you go.
Be there, be there, be there.
That was like a truck
Yeah,
video.
monster truck.
Yeah, monster truck.
Yeah.
Be there. So hopefully everybody goes. It's a great time.
It is.
The gentleman that hosted my first year here, his name is Gabriel Bach.
Gabriel Bach. He's been texting me.
Yeah, he had a great answer for you, didn't he?
Well, he actually had several, but
Of course.
among those, he pointed out Johnny Manziel's the lead comeback against Duke.
That's one of my favorite games.
At that time, maybe still stands the greatest comeback win. Maybe he mentioned Johnny against Alabama. You know, you're talking about that, but I would almost say maybe this is a cop out, but Johnny's entire 2012 season.
Heck yeah.
I mean, have we ever seen anything like that?
Never, no. I mean, not just the Heisman, considering where A&M was coming from, where people thought we were going to get destroyed in the SEC, leaving the Big 12, all the storylines behind it. By the way, if I remember correctly, that Duke game, wasn't that on New Year's Eve?
I think
right?
it was.
Okay.
I think it was.
And
might have been the 30th, but
you know, I forget what I ate for dinner last night, but I remember certain events and sports events where I was and how I absorbed the moment. I watched the first half of that Duke game at Channel 13 doing the newscast, and I think I left, call it 10 o'clock, 10:30, whatever time I left. Got home to start the third quarter thinking, this game. And I got to watch it with my family, the comeback. So to this day, one of my favorite moments.
You know, I can't remember typically what I had for lunch. I can tell you exactly what I had for dinner that night.
What'd you have for dinner?
A Chick-fil-A sandwich. You know why?
Why?
Because I was at the Chick-fil-A, the Chick-fil-A, whatever bowl, that Peach Bowl.
Chick-fil-A.
He also, listen, this is interesting that Gabe would include this one as one of the great thing. I don't know if he saw this or if it's just a great story. And I don't know anything, but Aggies will know. Bronson Burgoon's iron shot within inches of the hole to win the A&M's golf championship, which was first national title in any sport since '39.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it must have been a great golf shot, and other people will remember that. I don't know about it, but because I wasn't around. But that must have been amazing if people still remembered about golf.
Another great one right there. 979-693-1150. Somebody on the YouTube page mentioned Damani Richardson's touchdown against Arkansas. I'm trying to see who said that to give them credit on that.
Because that really did change that whole game, but it still came
Sneaky
down to
Pete.
it still came down to the oink doink.
Oh, that's right. It did come down to the oink doink. And people do not give A&M credit for that victory because, it took Arkansas to miss a field goal.
Well,
A&M missed a field goal right before.
Well, besides that, the rules say you have to kick the field goal to win it. You get those 3 points. So I've never apologized for a win.
Sorry you missed, bro.
Yeah. Hey, get a better kicker.
Yeah.
Even though he got drafted yesterday or the day. Yeah, yesterday, I think.
Did he?
Whenever it was.
All right. Let's go back to Eric Kassar's at the Anger. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, we should spend a few minutes talking about the draft because we really haven't broken it down and given some shout-outs there. Layden Robinson to the Pats.
Mm-hmm.
McKinley to the Bengals, right? And we had Damani to the Packers. Anias, we already talked a little bit about to the Eagles.
Damani?
Sorry.
Edgerrin
to the Packers, right? Damani was an undrafted free agent. Apologies.
Yeah, and what were we talking about Friday? Somebody came in here and said, no, McKinley's not supposed to get drafted until like the
4th or 5th round. He went in the 3rd round.
I thought he was supposed to be a 3rd round. And I remember thinking, if he's going to the 4th round, somebody's missing a really good football player.
Yep. Well, Layden Robinson going to the Pats. I like that for him.
I'm happy for him. That surprised me a little bit that he went that early, but good for him.
Yep. So Damani signs with the Panthers, so I get that right. Josh DeBerry signs with the Cowboys. Ernest Cranover signs with the Saints.
Yeah.
Nick Constantino signs with the Broncos. Those are the notes that I have in front of me.
He's going to like punting in that thin air up in the Mile High City.
Yep.
Go a long way.
Josh DeBerry did not spend a lot of time at A&M, but pumped that he's staying in the state of Texas. And
good for him.
I
wish him the best, especially if he plays well for my team.
Yep. I think Edge Cooper going to Green Bay is awesome.
Yeah,
it just fits him.
It almost hurts as much as the Eagles taking an ice, because I hate the Packers too, but not as near. I abhor the Eagles. I just hate the Packers. But God dang, the Packers draft well.
They do.
They do. They draft, and they like A&M players. They've liked A&M players probably since Terrence Murphy, probably since Leroy Caffey. They've liked A&M players, and dang it, if they didn't go and hit another home run with the 45th pick, they took number 45.
45th pick, and people are saying he's probably going to start.
Heck yeah, he's going to start, man. The guy's freaking good. And I'm going to sit there and continue to watch my Cowboys play crap defense with the linebackers that can't step up and fill a hole. And I'm going to be watching the Packers and putting a guy in the Pro Bowl, and I'm going to be saying, oh, there you go again.
Packers expected to play a 3-4 defense this year with 2 linebackers, and it's going to be Quay Walker.
He might even be more dangerous than a 3-4.
Yeah. So I'm pumped for him.
I'm glad for him. I'm glad for all those guys. I hope they all have successful careers and make millions and millions of dollars and contribute a lot of it to NIL.
Yep. Going back to Eric Casares there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Eric?
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out to McKinley Jackson, too, getting drafted 97th overall to the Bengals. So we just wanted to mention that.
I think we said that, right?
I think we just said
I think we said that.
I thought y'all missed him.
Nuño.
I thought y'all missed it because I heard Edgerrin, Layden, and Nice.
Yeah, we talked about how he some were projecting to be a 4th or 5th, but he's a 3rd-round player.
We did a graphic and everything.
I got you mixed up with Layden.
Eric.
It's all right, Eric.
Eric, I'm not going to give you a hard time, but you fell victim to what I fall victim to that drives Billy crazy, and I think OB sometimes crazy. When I'm looking at my computer to see what's next, or I'm responding to Nick or whatever, and they're saying something, then I bring it back up a moment later, and you're like, OB will give me this look like, I just said that.
It's all right, Eric.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one who does it. Shane and South.
Hey, wait. Did you hear that McKinley Jackson got drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, I heard about that. Hey, Eric, did you hear that the Dodgers left Brooklyn?
Did you hear that Shohei Ohtani's with the Dodgers now?
I'm sorry, we only do college baseball on this show now. After the Rangers won the World Series, we don't do anymore.
Oh, I know that was the best day of your life, David.
I know this is way off, but one day I made a comment about being a little boy and staying up late to listen to the Cowboys lose 38-0 to the St. Louis Cardinals. And McGee was on. McGee started laughing at me. He goes, St. Louis Cardinals? I said, yeah. He said, baseball? I said, no, the football
team used to be the St. Louis Cardinals.
He had no idea.
Yeah.
So that was one of those, someone wants to correct you, and then you get to correct them.
You get to correct them back.
Come on, McGee.
All right, Eric, we're having too much fun here. Continue on, please.
Yeah, Shane in South Carolina said, Bama win with Johnny. However, it was in Frankfurt, Germany. Myself and numerous other Aggies boarded a flight to Germany from Houston just as the game was starting. No Wi-Fi at the time on the planes. No one could know the score or watch the game. We landed, Aggie phone updated, and I yelled, we won. Several of us started screaming. The German folks at the airport just stared at us like we were crazy.
I bet that was amazing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine not having any idea?
So we talked about where we were. That game, I was working on the air, and I remember watching the game during the break on the set. And I promise you guys, I know this upsets some TexAgers, but I promise you, when Texas was the headline story, I gave Texas the same energy as I would give A&M, right? That's my role as a journalist. If I cover a high school game, I cover it the exact same way I cover a college game, same way. And if Baylor was good, I covered Baylor the same way, right?
That's
on that particular day, though, there was no doubt I was an Aggie on the air. There was I was.
Well, I wonder if you saw this. It was the Zach Calzada game when they beat Alabama, and there was Bless her, I don't know her name.
Oh,
the weather girl.
Yeah, that was
the
great.
weather lady or
we
whatever.
had her on the show, actually.
Did you?
I didn't have her.
I can't remember.
Richard
She
had
was
her.
from like Iowa or Illinois or something, doing the weather report just as the Aggies were kicking the field goal, and she was. That's remarkable.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's do this. Let's hit a break. We're going to bring on Kay Naegeli, all right? Because we got a busy 9 o'clock hour. Kay's going to do Around Aggieland with us, and Obi and I will just make some nonsense on the air. All right, we'll do that when we come back. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Welcome back into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. With that song, I feel like I need to speak like that, OB. Does that sound right? Like it's almost like a haunted Halloween.
Sounds like you had the old Jackson Moss thing the other day, you know? You had him talking like
the R&B.
Barry White.
Yeah, Barry White. It is now time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website, NormandyStateBank.com. And with that, Kay Naegeli.
To introduce Kay, I would have thought you'd have done it more like, you know, her dad being from White House said, hey, next up we got Kay Naegeli.
The
Talk
audio
to us, Kay.
levels on this show are going from here to here to here to here. We have had screaming, we've had whispering. It's been Nick's working overtime back there.
Hi, Kay. How are you? That sounded creepy. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Hello, Kay. Good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all? How was
well,
y'all's weekend? Great.
Good.
Watch a lot of baseball.
A lot of baseball.
Watch Cowboys make some.
I didn't watch
some decisions.
I hope
I
they
wasn't really interested in the draft other than our guys. That was it. That's all I was interested in.
I was sitting around watching it, make sure and all our content.
Who did the
was posted,
Texans get? Who's like the first guy they drafted?
I don't remember. I know they got like an offensive lineman in the second round.
Okay. Yeah, their first pick.
I think it was like a
cornerback
cornerback from USC.
Not exactly sure.
I guess we're totally wrong.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe Nick Savage knows. I don't have.
He just said it out loud.
By the way, I met the Savages, Nick's parents. They weren't savage at all.
No, they weren't.
They were quite.
Nick is right.
Pleasant.
The first pick was a cornerback out of Georgia, Kamari Lassiter, very good pick right there.
Kamari Lassiter, yeah.
And then they got offensive in the second round as well. That's where I got it. Blake Fisher, the Notre Dame offensive lineman, big one right there. And
Notre Dame had offensive lineman tackles taken in the first and second round.
Yeah, Kalen Bullock, USC third rounder. So I apologize, Texans fans. I just didn't care. Okay, continue on.
Yeah, so let's talk some A&M. So, gotta say it with the accent. Outside of draft football news, I want to talk about some recruiting football news. Mike Elko and co. added to their 2025 class with the pledge of cornerback Jamar Beal-Goins out of Desert Edge High School in Phoenix, Arizona.
What a big week. There's a commit, and we don't even get to it.
I know.
Haven't even got to it.
It is on the rundown.
He has the graphics made and everything.
It's on the rundown, but we had so much baseball to talk about.
He chose the Aggies over the likes of USC, so beat out good old Lincoln Riley, Utah, Oregon, Missouri, and many more. So congrats to Mike Elko and them for getting another big addition to this 2025 haul. To overview some...
An alcohol.
Alcohol.
Getting...
Alcoholic.
Not the last call.
Can we make a shirt that says alcoholic?
We need to. That's the spin-off of that.
This will not be the last call for the alcohol.
Oh, man.
Headline OB.
Getting punny. Anyways, talking just to review some NFL draft news, as y'all said, Edgerrin Cooper to the Green Bay Packers. He was 45th overall. How about that? He was number 45. McKinley Jackson, the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's bring that up again.
The Cincinnati who?
Bengals.
Oh, I thought you said Pringles.
No, that would be a name. Layden Robinson to New England, Anias to Philly, unfortunately for us Cowboys fans. Damani signed a UDFA with the Carolina Panthers. Josh Jabari was an undrafted free agent with the Cowboys. Nick Constantinos also signed a UDFA with the Denver Broncos. And then Ernest Crownover was invited to the New Orleans Saints minicamp. And Sam Matthews was also invited to the Chicago Bears minicamp.
All right, Sam.
Right? I know. I hope he balls out, especially in Chicago. Seems like they got some momentum going there.
And I might have missed it. Nothing about Max Wright yet?
Nothing about Max Wright.
Right.
So, yeah.
We got to make some calls. We got to get Max Wright out there.
I know. More potential UDFAs, hopefully, to come for guys like Max Wright. And then to recap, baseball, your top-ranked Fighting Texas Aggies took yet another Southeastern Conference this weekend against number 20 Georgia on Friday. 4 homers. Ted Burton had 2 of them in the 5-2 win.
Weekend Burton had.
What a weekend he did. And
he was if not as good defensively,
if
not better.
Yep.
As good as he was offensively, he might have been even better defensively.
What's his nickname? Teddy Two Times? Is that what we call him now?
It was Teddy,
Two Bags.
It was Teddy 2 bags for doubles, then it became Teddy 4 bags for his home run, then it became Teddy 2 bombs because he hit 2 on Friday, and then I think, he hit 4 over the weekend, so Teddy 4 bombs. It was
I think
final,
it's Teddy 2 times.
Final nickname.
Yeah. OB,
hit the homer. He hit the homers.
It's from a classic movie, but never mind.
Would go right over. Yep, there you go.
Mafia movie.
Yeah, not too.
Robert De Niro.
My movie knowledge is lax.
Joe Pesci.
Y'all know this. We're just gonna.
She's a good girl, but she ain't a good fella.
Bam! Get it now? Goodfellas.
I've never seen Goodfellas, but
okay.
Yeah. I understand, y'all.
Okay, yo. All right, this can't continue.
It's on my to-do list.
Nick,
it's finals week.
Goodfellas, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, he yelled at us.
He's like,
sorry, Boss Nick.
It'll be on my list. I'm gonna do all my finals. I'm gonna get things done, and Goodfellas is.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
Anything else?
Yeah, just to recap, y'all talked about Saturday's game one of the craziest comebacks in maybe A&M history as they came back from a 9-run first inning against Georgia to run rule the Dogs in 7 frames, scoring 19 runs in 7 frames. Absolutely ridiculous. Unfortunately, did fall in the finale, and they will conclude their 5-game homestand with a midweek contest against Tarleton on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. So hopefully Olsen and Blue
that guy had to be doctoring the ball. Because what self-respecting guy is going to squat like that to take a leak?
Hey, Jeff Tipton says, don't forget about Sir Parker's touchdown against K-State.
K-State.
That was an awesome one. Don West. Mr.
Just a
West.
win over K-State in itself.
Heck yeah. OB, what about the Chicago Cardinals?
I do remember the Chicago Cardinals. They played the Cleveland Rams way back then.
Back in the day. Kay, OB, thank you very much.
Of course.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, I see him. He's right in front of me. I can see him behind the glass right there. Schloss and Haas. Jim Schlossnagle next on TexAgs Radio. I believe Bronny's out there too. We'll get those guys. Oh, Andrew Monaco after that. It is a star-studded 9 o'clock hour. We'll see you in a bit. It's TexAgs. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Jim Schlossnagle's in the studio. Ryan Brauninger's in the studio. On Saturday night, I was at a party, and I already told this earlier, but I'll just tell you. And oftentimes, the first question Aggies asked me is about Coach Elko. Everybody was asking me about baseball, the 19-9 game, everything. It's just you've caught the excitement of Aggies everywhere. Just talk about this crazy weekend that included that Saturday game, and then Friday's game was just incredible.
Yeah, first of all, what's a party? I wish I knew what that was in season, but no. Yeah, it's awesome. Fans have, 12th Man's always been amazing, but I think, we've put together a solid season to this point. We have some star power players that people, want to watch play. They're very rare players. They don't come to college very often. They don't stay in college. And so that's, that you have some star power to come see. For the most part, our weather's been good. And, it's elite college baseball at Texas A&M, which is everything that I envisioned Texas A&M to be, or to be able to be even further. And so, it's been great. The fans were awesome, especially during the first game. Well, Friday night was great. The first game Saturday was electric. Even I think the fans felt the length of the doubleheader in the second game Sunday, because I remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but Camarillo had an at-bat, like a 14 pitch at-bat. I think it was the first game. They all run together Saturday. And the fans were as into it as if he hit a homer. And then in the second game, Teddy Burton had the same at-bat to lead off an inning, and no one said anything. No, I was in the dugout. I was like, where'd you guys go? Because they're just, it's exhausting. And then, of course, it doesn't rain a drop yesterday till 4 o'clock. So
I knew you'd be upset about that.
It's so brutal, man. Trying to play weatherman, it's the most brutal. There's a lot. I got a great job, so it's not that bad. But trying to make decisions on weather, which affects so many people, because that family of 4 has planned to come Sunday and they can't come Saturday, and it crushes our players to have to do that. And so, anyway, it was a great weekend. Didn't finish off the way we wanted to again, but I felt Lampkin was awesome. That's a huge sign for us. And so we'll take it. But the fan base has been incredible.
Well, one thing I think the fan base is going to want to know about is the health of Gavin Grahovic.
Yeah. Well, hoping and praying he's okay. Hopefully it's just something he can be down a little bit of time for, hopefully just this week, and then be ready to go Friday. When something happened when he first took off out of the box, and as soon as he hit the ball, and we knew it was going to be a in between, a ball he's probably going to have to leg out. I saw him starting to hobble right out of the batter's box, so I figured it was a hamstring. And then when he hit the base and went down so much, thought it was worse than that. Then once he kind of recovered, I think it maybe scared him more than anything. He took off on a kind of a dead sprint to right field, and the fans went crazy, and then it kept getting a little more sore. So we'll see. He had getting some testing done this morning. Hopefully something's fine. That guy can play through a lot. He's got a lot of toughness to him. We have a game tomorrow. Obviously, if he needs to sit that game, we'll do that. But we need him for the stretch run. Preferred to have him when we go to LSU, but if he's got to be down a couple weeks, I don't even want to know. I want to know. I don't even want to speculate when it could be nothing, or it could be worse.
Yep. And then going into the weekend, obviously a big story was how you guys were going to approach Charlie Condon. We set an over/under on intentional passes. You didn't walk him once, but how did you feel like you pitched to him over the course of the weekend?
I thought we pitched him great. I know he hit 3 homers or 2. 2. He hit 2 homers. I don't think he had a hit other than that, did he?
No.
So I felt like we pitched him really well. We, in his first at bat, we wanted to kind of set a little bit of a tone for the weekend and just really pitch him hard in. And he just missed the first pitch that he saw the weekend, and then, Prager didn't get it in enough, and he hit I didn't know where the ball landed. But the rest of the weekend, we played 4 outfielders, but in reality, even when we did it, I was like, the balls he hits in the air usually go over the outfielder's head, right? It was more of a thought process of he's only hit 3 ground balls on the right side of second base the whole season, especially, and maybe none against lefties. But it was more of along the lines of, and I don't know Charlie, our players love him. Braden and Jace are really, really, really close to him. It was more along the lines of, hey, if at any point in your at bat, Charlie, you want to stick your bat out and hit a grounder to second base, have at it.
All yours.
It's all yours, buddy. He's awesome, and their whole team's really good. Obviously, super physical.
And then the comeback on Saturday in Game 1 doesn't happen unless without the performance of Shane Sadeo and just another now he's starting to stack these outings on top of each other.
Yeah, he's been great. He's holding his velocity.
97?
Yeah, and towards the end, he touched some 97s, and he was hitting some 93s at the end, as was Lampkin. Lampkin's is mental. Lampkin's, he's a reserved guy by nature.
Wants to coast.
It's not as he wants to coast. I think he's always coasted, and that's what starting pitchers do. And I think what Max, his thing he says in the dugout every single time when a guy leaves the dugout to go out there, hey, one inning save, one pitch at a time. That's the mentality he wants the starter to have all the way to the closer. One inning save, give us all you got, one pitch at a time, we'll worry about the next one. And so I think Lampkin, even a Weston Moss in a starting role is kind of learning that. Sadeo has that mentality. I mean, he's trying to air it out almost every pitch. But yes, Shane did a nice job in that game. And then, I've never been a part of any game like that. We've been a part of comebacks, but not 17 runs by two teams in one inning to start the game. But yeah, Shane's been incredible, and he's a weapon down there. Could he start? We tried that last year. Sometimes guys aren't as good as starters, and sometimes they're as good, but the other team gets to prepare for them, which changes life.
Sure.
So it's not just as easy as saying, if I was a fan, I'd be going, well, shoot, he's pitching better than X or Y. Why don't you start him? We might, but then it makes you weaker in another area. So, but yeah, that was incredible performance by Shane, especially in those conditions.
So I just got to ask you, there's social media is buzzing about the Georgia pitcher there in the bullpen, and I just want to ask you about the levels teams will go to win games, and it's not just that kind of thing. We don't know what happened there, obviously, but
yeah. I mean that kind of stuff doesn't rile me up. I think there are people in our profession that are very naive to the highest level of college baseball. No disrespect to any other level, there's so much at stake. When you pay coaches what you pay coaches, and you invest in stadiums, and you do all the things that a conference like the SEC does, and then you're willing to fire a coach Chris Lemonis supposedly, starts the season on a hot seat when he won a national title 2 years ago. I mean, that's crazy. You got coaches that have been to the World Series multiple times, and people think they're in trouble. So, it is what it is. You are who you are for that year, and then everybody can be mad the next year. So, my point is, our game is starting to mirror the major leagues. There's so much at stake, and so whether it be sneaky video guys, we had that going on this weekend. Sneaky video guys moving around the stadium, whether it be planted cameras, whether it be microphones in dugouts. I'm never going to be in the CIA, but it's high level stuff. And so trying to find a way to get a grip on the ball, that's always been a part of baseball. And so that doesn't rile me up. I just had a phone call this morning with the SEC office. Should we move to like the big leagues, having the umpires check the pitcher after every inning before they come in, random? That's being discussed right now. Should it be implemented instantly? Should it be something we talk about at SEC meetings and put in our game next year? It doesn't make me feel good to see that. And then I've never seen Lavalette, Montgomery, and Appel all strike out swinging in one inning.
On the same pitch?
On the same pitch. But if that's the case, why aren't we doing it? So we can strike out more people. So
let me follow that up real quick. Is there anything you can do to police your own ballpark so the video camera stuff isn't done?
Yeah. We just put guys out there. We put people on watch to try and make sure that doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, your eyes go to the field. Mm-hmm. And so you want to, be a part of the game. But there are definitely things we can do. And believe me, we have our eyes out all the time. I think it'd be foolish to, I pretty much know that Tanner Jones was doing something to tip those pitches the other day. If I had it to do over again, I think they just had him in the stretch. And I couldn't get it out of my mouth in time to have him go in the windup against the catcher who hit the grand slam. Mm-hmm. And we don't normally like our pitchers to go in the windup out of the stretch because it allows the base runners to get more of a start and maybe beat a force play or score on a double. So I don't like that very much. But if I had to do over again, I'm kicking myself. Just say, hey, Tanner, it's 2 outs, go in the windup. I don't think they had him in the windup, but that's just part of the game. And we've had the other team's pitches too.
You've coached long enough to understand, like, that's always been a part of the game of baseball, is looking for a competitive advantage. But what has changed over the last 5-6 years is the technology that you have at your disposal now to gain these advantages. And I'm always of the opinion, like, if you're going to throw down signs at second base with a runner at second, and we're able to pick up your signs from second or from the dugout, and we relay them that way, that's all fair.
100%.
But so where is the new lines being drawn in this modern age of baseball? Like, how do you police this stuff? Well, if it's all technological, you know what I'm saying?
So here's the thing: is if it's all technological, do you have the financial resources to police it? So in other words, I talked to some friends of mine in Major League Baseball. We're not allowed to have iPads in the dugout, okay? But if you watch a Major League game, they have iPads all through the dugout. Mm-hmm. The reason they have all iPads all through the dugout is because Major League Baseball has its own portal system, and that each team is bought into. Each team gets the same exact stuff, but they cannot, there's a way for them to block a live feed to the dugout, okay? Well, that costs money. It costs a ridiculous amount of money. College baseball doesn't have that kind of money, even the SEC. So where do you draw the line? I mean, there are ways we could wire our dugout to get the live feed, and there's a school in our league that got busted. I don't know if people know it yet. I'm not going to reveal it, but they know they had a live feed. They've had a live feed going to the dugout all year, and they're hitting 306 at home and 206 on the road. I don't know. Dude. So to me, that would be the line. You know, somehow the technological line keeping live information from going directly to the dugout. The stuff you're talking about, that's baseball.
Old school baseball.
That's baseball. Right. I mean, if you're going to give signs, part of baseball. That's why I like to give the signs, because part of being a coach is giving the signs and being able to disguise your signs and having things to. Oh, yeah, if they think they got him, I can do this. Oh, he picked over. He thought I was running. Now I know, right? And so I think that's, in me growing up, that's part of being a coach. But I'm going to probably get off of it next year. We're going to go to pitch comm on offense so that I can
wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? It's just stupidity or being stubborn on my part. We can't – it's too expensive right now for us to do it on both offense and defense, even at A&M. But next year we're going to go to that. So there's just – try to limit the ways they can steal them.
It feels like an extension of that question, but just can we speak about the thin margins? Because your 3 losses have been 1 run with a chance to tie it or win at the end.
Yeah, and we've had some, and we also came back from 9-0, and we also won an extra inning game against Auburn. Yeah, it's just, I don't even know if you're at the games and you're paying attention. Just the players are just so good, and you know, 1 extra swing. I mean, that was the difference in the game Friday night. And I think I read Coach Wes Johnson's comments that the couple extra hits, I think we had about the same number of hits maybe, and the couple extra hits they got were singles, and the couple extra hits we got were homers. All the runs were scored on homers that night, right? Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, man, it's just, that's why I just had a former coach of mine who lives in Arizona, and he said, hey, man, how are you enjoying your season? You got a great team. I was like, man, I'm trying to find a way to enjoy it. Because you're definitely going to look back and say, how many times are you going to have a team like this? Mm-hmm. I don't care what school you're at, whatever. But in it, you don't. There's not a second where I go, oh wow, this is neat. Right. You know, maybe for 2 seconds as Braden's coming back with that big smile after hitting a grand slam, and the bubbles are going, maybe. But it's always about, all right, who's coming up? What's the matchup? If he walks them, what's the matchup? And then once the game's over, it's, all right, what are we doing against Tarleton? Is it going to rain? Oh, it's not going to rain. Who's going to pitch? Who should pitch? But maybe we really need to have him fresh for Friday. It's just all that stuff. And I think that's just that's the job of that's my job. My job is, I don't want to say it's to not enjoy it, but it's my job is to put a product on the field so everybody else can enjoy it.
Well, you talked about playing matchups, and in that final game on Saturday, you bring in Chris Cortez, and the guy walks off the bench and speaks to your talk about the talent and the depth of the league. Kid walks off the bench and ambushes a 97-mile heater.
Freshman.
And changes the game for
them.
them.
How many pinch hit homers have there been against us this year? 4? I feel bad for Chris. It's like he makes good pitches. He's throwing strikes.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I know the question somebody asked me, it was the 7th inning, maybe with an out or two. And maybe one.
I think there was one out.
Well, no. He started the inning because I let him get the last out of the 6th.
Yeah, they punched one through the 6th.
So So I brought him in, Lampkin. I brought him in to face Slade Alford because Chris has an incredible ground ball rate with that sinker. And even though Lampkin was at the tail end, he was still pitching well. But I was like, I have to keep the ball in the ballpark right here. And Cortez struck him out with the sinker. And then he went out in the next inning, and that's when it blew up on him. And if I'm a fan, I'm going, well, why isn't Aschenbeck pitching? And the answer is that's part of the reason of the stinking doubleheader is I'm just not ready yet to ask him to throw 30-plus pitches on one day and throw what would have been 50-ish on the next day. If that's a regional super? Heck yeah, he's pitching. Yep. Same way we did with Palish. But as much as I want to win every game and as much as I would love to win the SEC, which we're still in contention, I think, I'm not ready to do that to Evan because imagine our team without him. Mm-hmm. And so when that moment comes, believe me, he'll be ready. We will have him ready. But we also have to develop those other guys. And, there's a million what ifs in baseball. Could we have walked Condon and let Wilson pitch to the next guy? Sure.
That's what I thought you were doing.
Probably could have done that. Probably should have done it. But you're in those moments and you're trying to think, another thing that I'm kicking myself for is if I'm going to try to get Condon out with a breaking ball, which we eventually threw a slider, that's what he hit out off Weston, could have been Isaac Morton's breaking ball, which is way better. But Isaac Morton hasn't thrown as many strikes, right? So there's a million things, a million ways. That's what makes beautiful baseball the ultimate armchair game. And I'm not saying that the decisions I made are the right ones because it didn't work out. So, but we felt like in the moment those were the best matchups. But
I've said it a million times. The people that make commentary on things after they happen, that's the easiest thing to ever do.
It's easy, and that doesn't make me mad. I mean, if someone would ask me about it, that doesn't make me mad. I mean, I just go with all the information. I will tell you that I try to never criticize a coach because, and I'm a fan too, because you don't have all the information. You don't truly know where the kid's mind is, what he's been like maybe in the bullpen leading up to it or whatever. So, but yeah, it's if I'm an Aggie fan, I would have questions for sure about those decisions in that inning.
Let me close out with this. I don't think we talked about it on the air. Olin asked you about Teddy, offensively or defensively. Regardless, just what a spectacular weekend.
Spectacular. Jack Moss plus level play at first base. Jack Moss is as good as I've had, close to it. Had another guy named Fernando Valenzuela Jr., who you guys may remember. You may remember his dad. His son played for me at UNLV. He's the best defensive first baseman that I've coached. Caglianone's the best defensive first baseman I've ever seen, college or pro. But Moss was really good around the base. Obviously, he had throwing issues. Teddy, give our trainer Kaylee Swain credit. She's completely changed him, got him healthy to where now he can not just make that play, but he can throw the next lead runner out. So I judge a first baseman's defense by the lack of throwing errors of the other infielders. Can he save them? If he could have picked, Ali spiked that double play ball. It's part of the game. He tried to get it. God, if he would have got it, that would have only been a solo homer instead of a 2-run homer. So there's just so many things in a game. And you talk about small margins. That fifth run is what beat us. Yeah. The fourth run didn't beat us. The fifth one did.
Schloss, always great stuff. Thank you very much.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. All right, we'll come back with more Bronny and then Andrew Monaco after that. It's TexAgs Radio. every time we talk to Schloss, Bronny, like I just feel like the game. I feel like I learn listening to him. Like I watch it as a fan. Just hearing him break things down. It's just
there was a lot of inside baseball and a lot of things that go on throughout the game that, like you said, the normal fan's eyes are looking at the field, not at everything else that's going on. Right. And so, obviously there's ample video evidence that the final pitcher for Georgia this weekend was doctoring the baseball. There's clear, indisputable video evidence of that he was putting something on his glove and then going to that glove, not only on Saturday night, but he also did it in the midweek against Clemson whenever they pitched an incredible game and won 3-2 in extra innings against one of the top 10 teams in the country. He was very diplomatic about it, but he also told a lot of truth and I think enlightened a lot of the fan base as to what goes on in the depths that these schools are going to go to try to win in this league. And then, he talked about the live video thing, and he talked about just the links that Georgia's social media, it's like their social media staff was going to try to gain an advantage. Like, it's cutthroat in this league, man, and it's one step short of Major League Baseball in terms of what it means. Minor League Baseball outcomes don't really matter except for the individual player. Like, there's not anybody writing stories about who wins the Carolina League.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But there are a lot of stories about who wins the SEC and who comes out of this league and goes to Omaha and hosts supers and all that kind of stuff. They write a lot about that. There's a lot of attention paid to that. So it shouldn't surprise you that now in this new age of baseball, part of the game has always been looking for competitive advantages. But this rise in technology, like we spoke so much about, has caused that whole thing, that conversation has completely shifted in college athletics, and specifically in college baseball, over the last 5 years. It's a completely different conversation we're having now because of the amount of technology available.
Bronny, does the SEC do anything based on that video? Do they investigate?
I've got no idea, and it sounds like it's been brought to their attention clearly. I mean, we just listened to Coach Schlossnagle talk about it, but I want to dive into it a little bit more.
Sure.
And because I'm not going to talk about it a lot in my baseball article this week because it's just been done so much. But I did want to say my piece on it. Okay, this kid, he came into the game with a 263 opponent batting average. And do you know why people use sticky stuff? Do you know what a better grip on the baseball helps you do?
Accuracy, speed.
It doesn't help so much with velocity as it does with spin.
Spin rate, right?
Spin.
Yep.
And the kid throws plenty hard enough, but when I'm sitting there watching the game, and if there was no video evidence out there of this kid doctoring his glove to help him get a better grip on the baseball, I would have said, man, that kid had an incredible night.
Which I think you did say, right?
I said it on the air.
Yeah.
I was like, he struck out 6 in a row, and then the top 4 of the A&M order, which is as good as anybody's in the country. And then, but what did your eyes tell you? Like, when it's happening, you're going, how many times have you ever seen Gavin Grahovic, Jay Slavolette, Braden Montgomery, and Jackson Appel all strike out in a row, all strike out on the same exact pitch? They were all with no balls or 1 ball, and they were all completely overmatched for the entirety of the at-bat.
Never
What did your eyes tell you?
Something's not right here.
Yes. So what are the percent chances that a guy with a 263 opposing batting average against does that to this A&M lineup?
To that part of the lineup, too.
Yes. Something's...
And then we have the video evidence.
Right. That's like compounding, right? We have indisputable video evidence that this kid was doctoring the baseball. And it makes me think their starter might have been doctoring the baseball. I don't know that, but what's off limits now?
Right.
I think Georgia's going to be highly scrutinized the rest of the year. And I do think that the league, starting immediately, should start checking guys coming off the mound like they do at the big league level. And they still catch guys in the big leagues trying to mess with the baseball or use sticky stuff or have it on their body somehow. But
to be that careless, thank you, by the way, for being that careless.
I don't think he thought he was being careless, because if you see the video from the bullpen, what I would have liked, if that happens again, and I don't know if the person that took that video listens to this show, I don't know, the Barstool A&M account is the one that really got hold of it and got it going.
Millions of views.
But if that stuff happens during a game, DM me on the site.
Yeah.
Or DM me on Twitter. Get the information to me if you've got video evidence like that, and I bet I can get it to the right people. You know what I'm like? I'm not like that's blatant cheating. And like, so that happened in probably what, the 5th or the 6th inning. He starts doctoring his glove because he had his chance to pitch in the game.
Yep.
And then when you see him run into the game, like you sound the alarm bells. Hey, you need to be checking this guy. And if we go back, and really it's the fault of anybody could have seen it because he's going to that glove so often in that inning. You know, and he's wearing a black glove, which obviously makes it easier to camouflage. And he keeps going back to that spot on his glove between pitches. And like if you'd have just looked at it, like why does he keep doing that?
Would Georgia media ask Johnson about it?
Who knows? I don't know if they've got somebody that is, you know, would do that. We could ask Schloss if it was A&M. You could ask him, and he'd be open and honest about it. I don't know if I don't know Wes Johnson at all.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, you know, just from the stories that we've heard throughout the weekend, and then what Schloss came in here and said, that like, what's off limits for them?
Yeah. Let's hit a break here. You join us for Monaco?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll do a segment with Monaco and Bronny, and then I'll try to see if I can get some football questions after that with Monaco. Right now, we're talking Chance McClain and Heritage Films. You know about them. Been talking about them for now 3 years, and what they do is they make documentary films about families, about groups of friends together, about family businesses, family ranches, and they're like 2-hour awesome documentaries. I highly recommend you do it. If you haven't had a Heritage film done, you're missing out on telling your family story and preserving that story for the next generation and the generation after that. No longer do you have to play the game of telephone when your pops tells you the story about his time at A&M and beyond, right? You can actually get that video in a documentary form done with 2 hours, right? It's just awesome what Chance does. He also does the Yearflix, which is a 20-minute, it's not really a documentary. It's more of a Q&A, benchmark video, get to know your kids, different stages of their life from maybe 8th grade to high school to maybe when they graduate, and then maybe do another one for when they get to A&M and when they get their Aggie ring. 20-minute Q&A fun videos that are done the right way. Chance McClain is the guy who does it. You can call him up, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or you can go to yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com. It's time for some props. I got the voice of the Aggies with us here. Andrew Monaco, Ryan Brauninger's here. So it's been a long time since maybe the A&M soccer radio team chemistry on the air of Casey Atnip and this gentleman right here that I've heard chemistry as good as you two gentlemen and whoever the third is that day. Shesh, well, this weekend, but there's been several others, right?
Shesh has been the only time we've had a three-man.
He mentioned him right off the top.
Of course
Did you catch that?
No, I was talking Casey Atnip off the top.
No. He mentioned himself. But listen, you got to understand that permeates from the top at this company. Okay, whenever this ship's run by Billy Liucci, I mean, it's kind of how everything falls down.
I'm trying to give you guys credit. This is
sure,
excellent
sure, but I know
by
you
giving myself credit.
Right. Yeah.
No, honestly, what it's done has been like, I suck at soccer. I'm done. I'm not coming back. But bottom line is, I love the chemistry. It's been great, and Bronny does a wonderful job. I want to ask you about this baseball team because you've seen high-level basketball, the best, right? You saw the Spurs during their years. Tell me a little bit about like what great teams look like that you can see maybe during the regular season that you're seeing with this baseball team.
What Bronny always says, is there anything more exciting than a Friday night in the SEC? That's what a great team looks like. And I don't think they've hit their ceiling. I think there's still something more, but it's the construction. It's the chemistry. It's that attitude of being able to flush the good and the bad and focus on what's next without worrying and being a robot, but also enjoying. And I think that's where the chemistry comes in. And I think it's real. It's genuine. It's not manufactured. But there's an awful lot of talent that you're seeing on a Friday, a Saturday, a Sunday, this Tuesday that you're going to be watching next level, but not forgetting how good they are right now.
He makes a good point. What I love about this team is they get back to even. And good or bad, and they've had a lot more good than bad. But how many times have we talked about now, like just talking about how talented this team is does them a disservice because they play so stinking hard. And you saw it, I think it was the midweek, or no, it was one of the beatdowns of Vanderbilt where like late in the game, Teddy Burton hooks a ball and it was a long single. In a blowout game, it's a long single. He doesn't stop out of the box, turns it into a double. And there's just been instances like that. Gavin Grahovic, obviously, we're hoping like heck he's okay, but he on a tapper single where you're like in the moment that kid's playing so stinking hard, he's selling his body out to beat that single to pass the baton to Jace, put his team in an RBI situation. Like they just consistently show us how tough they are, and we need to talk about it.
And what Bronny says, when you play the game the right way, you get rewarded. It's not always a win, but you get rewarded over the course. And it's not just a single play. It's every time they make the play. They play the right way. They play to win. They're mad they didn't get a sweep. You know how we all say, yeah, you got the series win. Yeah, they're mad they didn't get the sweep. Then flushed. Now you focus on Tarleton.
Well, in the NBA, routinely teams get up 20 and teams come back. In baseball, you don't see 9 runs in one inning. And like you think, all right, starter's got to go a while to eat some innings up. This team came back that inning alone.
Yeah, it was a one-run game at the end of one, right? You're thinking, oh, Jace got 2 back. That's great. Okay, now you go from 9-2. And then you're like, well, now it's 9-4. Now it's 9. Yeah, and it just puts all that doubt back on the other side. That's the thing. They are able to seize momentum. They are able to keep momentum when they lose it because even though it's the pace of the game is different from other sports, it's a big momentum game. Bronny mentions it all the time. Here's what's happened. You got the bases loaded. Oh, you didn't score. Momentum swap. It's swapped back into that other dugout. They're able to keep it. They're able to take it, I think, from other teams as well, which is important. Not just at the plate. They can do it now on the mound. They can do it with the defense as well.
He got to call the 2022 team come back against South Carolina with the Brett Minnick home run, and he calls it the Coach Mark Johnson giggle because when Brett hits the homer, Coach Johnson's so giddy that he just starts laughing. But I was trying to, Andrew, during that, and I forgot to ask you on the broadcast or maybe even in between innings, but like, where does that one rank? That game one on Saturday, where does that one rank in your all-time calls for all your sports? You've never seen anything like that.
No, because what you said, it went from 9-0 to a run rule.
A blow.
You also made another great point, and I thought back to that entire series. Georgia scores in 4 innings.
Yeah.
4 of 25 innings. I know that there's a 9 and there's a 5. There's a couple of 1s on that Friday, which was a classic SEC Friday pitching duel, timely hitting this and that. But again, I like I said to you, the 13-12 is so special because Mark Johnson, the giggle, the tears in his eyes as we talked to Brett after the game. But that 19-9, nothing like that in all the games that I've called. I don't think I've ever seen it swapped like that, and then to end up being a run rule is incredible.
It was a complete and total ambush. What A&M did down 9-0 was a total ambush of the Georgia pitching staff.
It was a beatdown.
And then, let me say this. I was obviously not in the booth in 2022, but I was standing down the left field line in that regional game against TCU when Dylan Rock hit the 3-run home run, and the roof just came off of Bluebell Park. It was at that level on Braden Montgomery's grand slam.
Yes, it was.
That was as loud as I've heard Bluebell.
Because it was still in doubt. Georgia was still a swing away, right, for whatever, and that gave that cushion. It's almost like that combination exhale, roar. Oh, that's our guy going over the bat. He's ridiculous.
Right, and just like Dylan Rock had become like cult hero-ish to the A&M fan base in that 2022 season, and he's the guy that hit it. And when Braden walks up to the plate in that moment, all 8,000, 9,000 people out there were thinking, how cool would a grand slam be? And he hit it, and the place just went nuts.
David, back to your point. The great teams, those players, the moment's never too big for them, and they come through. They don't always come through, but they come through, and that's the memorable part of great teams is you have players with signature moments like that.
Well, signature moments 1 through 9, right? Travis Chestnut can end the game, right?
Caden Sorrell's been awesome.
There you go. So we focus so much on the top 3, but it's really throughout the 1 through 9.
It's what it's turned into, and it's why they're one of the more complete, not only offenses in baseball, but teams in baseball, college baseball, because when you combine that, and really on the pitching side, they had a bad outing from Tanner Jones, and they had a bad outing from Chris Cortez, who's been outstanding. Right? Chris has been incredibly good. Over the course of the weekend, you got way more pluses on the pitching side than you did negatives, right? Prager, incredible.
Yep.
Aschenbeck, incredible. Cedillo, incredible. I thought Brock Peary did a good job when he come in that complete nightmare scenario. So you talked about the depth of the offense. We're learning that the depth of the team is something that I don't know, and everybody's like, well, I'd love to see a little bit more out of the pitching or whatever. I get it, but how many other teams in college baseball are worried about the same stuff at a much higher degree than Texas A&M is?
I think there's so much focus on the top 3 that you go, okay. Not realizing that 4 is Jackson Appel.
Right.
And then 5 is Ted Burton. And then 6 is Hayden Schott. Then you're going, okay, how about the bottom third? No, not with Ali Camarillo. Not with Caden Sorrell, the way he has flat out what did I hear, 17-2 or 17-3 since he's been in the lineup? That's incredible. There's a reason for it. Offense and defense, right? And then you got Travis Chestnut. My favorite line still is Ryan Prager, the little guy in the 9-hole, likes to hit home runs.
Right.
And he does, but there's more than that. You go back to not just the home run in the first, but then that double. And Brawny's saying, okay, this is where Travis Chestnut, that's what he needs to be doing. And then he's just the spark, and you have to do it. Now you're 1 through 9. So where do you breathe in the lineup? And the other thing that I thought this weekend is you had Evan Aschenbeck, midseason watch, stopper of the year. You had Brian Zeldin, who is a very good pitcher. But look at the 2 different performances. Aschenbeck did it twice. Now, Zeldin ate up a ton of innings, and I know the numbers don't look good, but for right there, you're saying, the midseason watch, you just nudge Evan even higher on that list.
Well, and I think people like to poke holes because they're worried, right? We want to win it all. But you poke holes at the pitching staff. They're 5th in ERA in the country. This pitching staff is excellent.
Yeah, and you have been having some not great starts in some of the weekend series, and that's why people are going, whether it was Lampkin or Tanner Jones. Prager has had a lot of really good ones. I know you talk about what Schloss said about those 10 starts.
Yeah.
You have 2 bad ones. You're going to have 2 really good ones. You're actually what you are in those 6 in between. But, man, I said it when Evan took the ball and got out of a jam. I think that was Friday night.
The double play ball?
Yes. He's the best closer. I mean, he's the best relief pitcher in the country, in my opinion. He has got to be. We have got to start talking about him, and I'm doing it enough that I think I'm banging this drum loud enough, as one of the best relievers in school history.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Early said, when you face Evan Aschenbeck, you're a comfortable offer.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And you go back to how did he get me out? And you realize, because he just flat out pitches. And what else did he say? Hitting his changeups like trying to hit the rosin bag.
Well, let's do one other picture. Shane today.
Outstanding.
How big he was.
Outstanding. And this is what I love about Shane from last year to this year. They pitched him in an awful lot of circumstances last year, and I don't think he was intimidated by any of them. That was as a freshman. Now you come back with even more confidence. That was really important, what he delivered, and he delivers that time and time again. Again, just a couple of outings that you can look at and say, not his best, but to the point. So Schloss says 10 pitches. 2 are going to be really bad. 2 are going to be really good. 6. That's where you are. The 2 on each side are the outliers. Well, if you're looking now at Shane Sadeo, the 6 have been really, really solid.
Well, and the encouraging thing, obviously Shane, what's helped him go to the next level. We saw some 97s on the radar gun. Josh Kiesel should be credited for a lot of the development of Shane Sadeo and the work he did in the offseason to get him stronger and add some weight to his frame, so that kind of gray area where you look at Shane at 35 to 45 pitches is now 55 to 65 pitches, and those are huge. Those are extra hitters in an inning to get you deeper in the game. And then I thought Justin Lampkin's outing was highly encouraging because, and I didn't know that he'd been working with on a new pitch with Coach Wiener during the week. And I mean, I'm just telling you, to add that to your repertoire in the middle of a week and then go out and perform with it and execute with it is a massive credit to Justin Lampkin. But it's also that's so hard to do from a pitching coach standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's 29 years old, and the impact he's having on these kids in 1 year has been remarkable. It's incredible. And to not only give them a repertoire physically to go out there to compete with and then be able to change it and to navigate a season to make it better, but the confidence he's been able to instill in them to go out there and execute it fearlessly, that's a whole nother level of coaching.
Because he can answer why. Every student athlete's going to say, why? Why are you teaching this? Why? Here's the why. And he's got the numbers to back it up. Here's the why. And this is how you get better. Here's the other thing that I was thinking about, how well this team has pitched and all that. Keep looking back at the series, South Carolina, Alabama, Vanderbilt, and then see what those teams are doing through the rest of the SEC. Vanderbilt's not getting swept any longer, right? You see that South Carolina offense? Jim made me laugh. He said, I got PTSD watching Alabama play Ole Miss because of that. But the Aggies took 2 out of 3 from them. So you almost say, oh, did really well. Yeah, we're disappointed we didn't get a sweep or something like that. But then you look at the next series and say, wow, we did really well. Like, you do that. I think you learn to appreciate how well this team is playing a little bit more.
All right, I don't know the answer here. You can stick around for some football
I
talk.
certainly am, David. I would love to.
Wanted to make sure. Bronny, thank you, buddy.
Yep, thank you.
When we come back, more with the voice of the Aggies on TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Andrew Monaco still with us. So we did baseball. We got about 5 minutes here to do some football. All right, early things, because I don't think we've spoken during spring ball about football. Coach Elko, what is something that jumps out? Because you see things differently than I do. When I'm at practice, I see certain things. You're in the building. Anything jump out at you?
Connection.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Connection and culture. And also, you know what? It's my way. This is now Mike Elko's way, right? We're going to do it this way, and everybody's on board with that. I still think there's something, David, to knowing a good number of student athletes who are in that room, but also understanding who he is to say, this is how we're doing it. Come along. Let's do this. I think that spring was different in that it was a lot more football learning, implementing, but that's just step one. Mm-hmm. The biggest step is now, what all these student athletes are going to do on their own, because you don't get ready for fall ball in August. It has to be now. So now you take what you have done, now it's on your own. Mm-hmm. How much do you want it? I think this is as key a moment. This is quarterbacks and receivers. This is are you going to change your body a little bit? Are you ready for this? This is where you see freshmen become sophomores, red shirts, be impact guys year to year. I'm always fascinated to see who is the guy who takes that jump in that next year. And if you ask them, they'll say, hey, it's what I did in the offseason. That really helped me.
I know you had a good relationship with Jimbo. One of the things I like about Coach Elko is like some of the blind spots that maybe Jimbo had, right? I feel like those aren't blind spots for Elko.
No.
Like the NIL, the way he's handling the portal, I should say, the detail-oriented style that he is for each part of the game. He seems, the high school coaches, like he seems to have check a lot of the boxes.
I'm even more impressed because it was in a very short period of time. He had to do all of that, and nothing has slipped through those cracks to say, oh, well, we got to fix that later. No. We're going to do it now. We're going to set this up now when I say front office, you've got to have that set up, and you've got to have talent acquisition, and whether that's portal or high school, that ultimately is it. But you have to have everything else around there. It's not easy to say this is our culture immediately. But again, all those guys who he said, I hugged 40, 50 guys, they had success on that defensive side under Mike Elko. And then it's the old, trust me, players recruit players, right? Yeah. You're going to love this. What former players were saying. But to your point, that detail, very detail-oriented, and when you put it in a compressed time period of having to save an early signing period, of the transfer portal going in and out, all of that, the Texas high school coaches, I think, will end up being huge for that, embracing them. Yeah, it's to me, it's even more impressive, once again, looking back and seeing what he did during that time.
I know Connor's numbers in the spring game weren't spectacular, but were you encouraged the way he moved, the way he looked?
Just love seeing 15 out there. Yep. Are you kidding? And throwing the ball, and it's where he throws. He throws receivers open. I just think there's such an understanding of Connor Wigman, and I know he's not there yet, but he doesn't need to be there yet, right? August 31st is when he needs to be there and be ready for camp. But look, he's different, and I've always joked with coaches, I don't know what it is, but I will always say he's got it. Look, I love the other quarterbacks as well. Please don't take that. But someone always has to be one. Connor Wigman is built to be a number one and a leader, and all that goes with that. Very excited to see 15 back under center.
There's a lot of different ways we can go with the NFL draft, but I want to start off with Anias because OB talked about it all week leading up to the draft. There were some places that said he wasn't going to get drafted. Yeah. What are you talking about?
So before every draft, Charles Davis, NFL Network, we worked together lifetimes ago, right? And one of my favorite partners ever. And he said, as we talked about each of the Aggie players, he said, Anias Smith, when he actually wrote for NFL Network, he said, that's one that you have to take. He told every team, you have to take Anias Smith. It's the complete player in Anias. It's the complete person of Anias Smith. Look, I know it's different in the NFL than it is on college, but I don't think you can ignore the type of person. See, I thought Anias always reached across to the other field on the defensive side and had impact with them as well. And just where there was not one click of Anias and maybe a couple guys, he was with everybody. Right. But what he can do from the slot and the toughness on special teams, however you want to do it, you only have 53 up there. So who's the most versatile player you can get that will impact a game? Special teams is huge on the NFL side. That's why I think he was saying that you have to go get Anaya Smith in Philadelphia did a good job.
Andrew, thank you, buddy.
Pleasure, my friend.
Appreciate you,
You
sir.
bet.
All right, when we come back on TexAgs Radio, Billy Liucci should be in studio. We'll get with Billy next on TexAgs. Good song right here. TexAgs Radio. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy is not in the building, but he is in the parking lot. So we'll get Billy on the program in a couple of minutes. If you want to text in about any of the conversations we've been having this morning, 979-693-1150. As we get ready for Billy, we go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Eric Asaris, it's been an hour since we last spoke to you, buddy. what's going on in your world?
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk a little bit of NFL draft. David, I know you said you didn't get to pay attention to it much outside of the Aggies, but so maybe you didn't know this, but 11 SEC athletes selected in the first round of the NFL draft. Would you like to hear some of them?
I would love to hear from some of them, or not from them. But by the way, I do have this note on here. I just want to read it since you said that. The SEC leads all conferences in the NFL draft for the 18th straight year, and 59 picks, while 13 of the 14 schools have at least one player joining an NFL team. And now, my friend, tell me where they're going.
Yeah, so Jaden Daniels starting off, QB for the Washington Commanders moving forward. So you got that, him, Heisman Trophy winner from LSU. Number 6, Malik Neighbors from the New York Giants. Great pick. Get a weapon for Daniel Jones out there. Number 7, Titans looked like they were going to get Joe Alt there for a second, the best offensive tackle prospect in the draft. Ended up getting J.C. Latham from Bama, who was projected to go in the top 10 after the last few mock drafts. Brock Bowers, Las Vegas Raiders. That was the shocker of the draft for me, going number 10 from Georgia to the Las Vegas Raiders. You got anything to comment before we move on?
No, continue on.
All right.
Because I see Billy's getting close.
Number 17, I'll move quick. Dallas Turner from the going to the Minnesota Vikings, also a Bama guy. Number 18, Amarius Mims, offensive tackle for Georgia. Number 23, Brian Thomas Jr., LSU wide receiver, second wide receiver on the board from LSU. Number 24, Terrion Arnold, best cornerback prospect in the draft, went later. And he went to the Detroit Lions at number 24. Number 27, Darius Robinson from Missouri, and he went to the Arizona Cardinals. That was their second pick of the draft. And then number 31, Ricky Parcells from Florida. He was a wide receiver going to the 49ers. And then number 32, finishing off the first round of the NFL draft, Xavier Leggett from South Carolina. Yep.
South Carolina. All right. By the way, that brings up this article that I read on CBS Sports. And I'm not here to complain. I do complain, but this is not a complaint. This is just a little note I'm going to make. CBS Sports has their list of 7 college quarterbacks that could emerge as potential first-round draft picks for the standout 2024 season. Okay? And here are the names. Cam Ward of Miami. I could see that, sure. Cam's good. Grant Nussmeier, LSU. He hasn't played very much, but everybody loves to talk about Garrett Nussmeier at LSU. Okay? Hopefully I'll get to Connor's name here in a minute. Jackson Dart, Ole Miss. Absolutely. I think Ole Miss is the second best team in the SEC. I do. I think it's Georgia, then it's Ole Miss. Drew Aller at Penn State. Okay, I'm sure I'll get to Connor next. Jalen Milroe at Alabama. Oh, he's got to be the next one. Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. Okay. Riley Leonard at Notre Dame. I say all that to you that, look, I kind of like, because there's so many unknowns when it comes to A&M, but I just find it interesting that certain programs, and look, you got to give Brian Kelly props on this. LSU, he wins 10 games at LSU often, right? Before he's got his 4 years in there. I think last year they actually won 9. But the bottom line is he's an excellent coach. There's a reason that he wins, and it's because he's done it for a long, long time. I get all that. Fine. Cool. But Garrett Nussmeier has sample size of starts and plays in college football. Connor Wegman, we've seen 8 fantastic starts. And look, he's a TBD. I'm just saying that when you make a list like this, I think he should be included. Because it says, that's what the headline says, 7 college football quarterbacks who could emerge as a potential first-round draft pick with a standout 2024 season. So Quinn Ewers is not on that list, which is interesting. I would assume that Quinn Ewers with a standout 2024 season. I mean, and maybe it's size, maybe it's arm. I don't know why, the reasons behind it. But Connor, to me, if he has a standout 2024 season, would be one of those guys. Where's the lie, right? We're talking about standout seasons. Any quarterback at an SEC school that has a standout season would absolutely be in that mix. And with that, Billy Liucci. Hello, Billy. Good morning, buddy.
Nuño, I've got a list today, my friend.
A list of things, complaints, grievances?
Yeah, I'm airing
like
reviews.
Seinfeld?
I just had some notes.
Okay. Of things you want to get into today.
You cut off old. This is going to become a thing. Like all my highlights of hour number.
Okay.
Poor Olin was sitting here trying to explain, like, man, I really wish. It's times like this that I wish I was a full-fledged card-carrying, diploma-having, ring-bearing Aggie. It was like he was in his
zone.
Feelings, like kind of really bonding with, I think, the fans that love him to say, hey, man, you know, I know y'all have embraced me with it, but I just wish, you know, he was getting that out, and you just go, oh, it looks like they spelled the doctor wrong. That's why I mispronounced. Like right in the middle of him, you go, oh, it turns out that word was misspelled. That's why.
See, Billy, there's a reason for that, though. I want it to be on this show, not a talk show. I want it to be a conversation with like buddies, and that's how buddies talk.
They just barge it, but Olin was like opening up.
Yeah,
well, actually,
you're right. You know what?
Sorry, that word was mispronounced earlier because they spelled it wrong.
I don't know if they spelled it wrong. I just can't speak English sometimes.
Well, ophthalmologist is not easy.
Ophthalmologist.
Oh, here's the one I got you with. Could kick everyone's butts here, including Brawny.
Who's that talking about? Tommy Moffitt? Who?
No.
Who was it? I remember that statement.
You were talking about.
Oh, Mark Rudis.
Rudis' dad and Grahovic's dad.
They absolutely could take. And you were standing talking to him.
No, those are like my in-game bodyguards is what they are.
Yeah, they're huge.
And yeah, those are my in-game bodyguards. But
they are so nice, by the way. They're awesome.
Oh, all those. I just love the fact they all stand up there and hang out, and then
they're all friends.
I went over there between games and hung out with them at the tailgate. It was great. Yeah, could kick everybody, including Brawny. I don't understand your insistence on promoting Brawny as like the Brooklyn Brawler, like the guy.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah, like the guy who I don't know if that's really. I'm just gonna be honest.
I have a feeling.
Just gonna be honest. I don't think that's accurate. I've seen his reaction to a couple of. He doesn't have a real high pain tolerance. Let's put it that way.
You hit him in the private.
Well, once. The other time was in his stomach, where
the breadbasket
hernia, I guess, but.
I feel like if he landed, he'd kill somebody.
Oh yeah, if he just wound up, and it's like it's like if a bear hits you.
If I wound up and I hit you, that hurt. But like if Brawny did,
I don't know.
Now if I struck you with a
kick,
kick,
I think if Brawny wound up and clubbed you like one of these, like not even a punch, but one of these like a mitt
out.
Yeah, you could go right out. Here's the other one.
Did you text people or yourself?
Olin, I was texting Zane and Dalton. You know the usual.
Yep.
You did go. You're gonna get yourself a free bag of TexAgs coffee out there.
Out there.
And then my favorite, my favorite was Olin saying that the Aggie player, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, old timers that probably only have to be a little older than me to have been at that game, but if I'm not mistaken, was that Johnny Holland?
Who lifted up the helmet?
Yeah, or William Todd. I think it was Johnny Holland.
Somebody texted the show that it was Johnny Holland.
So, but Olin said he was holding up his helmet like Goliath, David holding Goliath's head. But I'm like, I'm not. I read the Bible. I'm not like an expert. Some people can recite it. I don't remember David chopping Goliath's head off. I remember there was a slingshot and a rock.
In the Disney remake.
I don't remember him chopping his head off and holding it up like it was Medusa.
Like Medusa.
Anyway, those are my
Clash of the Titans.
Those are my fact checks this morning. You could tell how bored I was listening and eating my breakfast.
But the content was good, my friend.
It was good.
We talked a little Aggie baseball.
There's a lot to talk about.
There is. Let's start with Aggie baseball because that's been did you get to hear any of Schloss's conversation?
Chop Goliath head off.
Did you listen to Schloss?
Look, I'm actually, as you
midway
said here,
through?
I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through.
Well, it was just every time he comes in here, I feel like it's a really good conversation.
Educational.
Yeah, and I thanked him afterwards. Like, hey, when I ask you something, like you give me answers. Like, as a coach, sometimes you have to be guarded. I don't feel like he's guarded.
No, he's not, and he can't help himself either. He's kind of like, and that's something he and I are similar in, is that when he'll say it, he won't dodge it, and even if there's times like he's like, man, I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. He can't help himself. If he gets frustrated, if he's annoyed at something, which is great radio. And I think as far as head coaches go, I wish every coach was as honest as him. But more than that, it's just like I said, it's educational. Here's the difference between him and a lot of coaches. How far into the explanation he's willing to go. How much depth he gives to the answer when it's baseball, and that is where we're really fortunate to have Brawny. Like, I feel like, I could sit here and he always gives me a hard time because I don't come in here. I mean, I guess the four of us could do it, but I could do a great interview with Slosh. But there's follow-up questions that I can't ask.
Bronny can.
That, to get into that. And so it's a good combination, but also there is a level there that, like you don't follow or watch baseball as much as I do.
No.
And then I don't coach it and didn't play it at the level Bronny did. But you could carry on a perfectly great interview with Slosh by yourself because of how he is.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't even have to ask those second level questions. It makes it better, but you wouldn't have to because he can sit there and answer and he'll go in depth himself. So I enjoy that. It's my favorite one to listen to every week. That's why it's on right now on my phone, and I'll listen to it later on the way home. But I may listen to it at lunch today with him. Who knows? We're usually Monday, so I need to do a little check right now.
So
he's busy. He was so stressed last Monday. I made the joke. I was like, how stressed out you were during lunch. Like, there was a lot going on. I'm surprised you were able to focus in to beat Houston. Like, it's not just coaching, He had the game on Tuesday night. Obviously, there was a lot going on. Tuesday, all the cuts were announced that did affect, the people that lost their job, did affect baseball.
Yeah.
In the form of Chris Park, who was his direct guy. But then on top of it, he, how he joked about what's a party? I mean, he had a ton of family coming in this weekend. You know how it is. Yeah. Everybody listening knows how it is when you have family come into your house but oh, by the way, they're coming to watch the baseball game that you're coaching, and they're staying at your house, and you got to get tickets, and you heard him say that last week on here. So yeah, it's not like football. There's not 100,000 seats in that stadium, so there's a lot that goes on. And oh, by the way, you're getting Georgia, and you're starting to see these weather reports roll in for the weekend. I mean, I like what he said. I always say this about our jobs. There are a million jobs harder than ours. Most jobs are harder than ours. There are times, and there are certain elements of our jobs that are miserable, and there are certain parts of our jobs that not a lot of people can do. It's not easy. Like hosting a radio show, or in my case, sometimes like juggling the relationships with the new, I've lost friends along the way because they don't like how I handle something. But then it's in the same breath, everyone's saying, "Oh, you're too easy on the program." I mean, it's a 25-year balancing act.
Mm-hmm.
That part of it's really hard. Sucks sometimes. And there's high pressure when you're sitting on a head coach, losing his job for multiple days and wanting to put it out but not burn people, but also wanting that coach to find out first and trying to understand why in the world it's a good thing to wait till Saturday. These things are tough. And for him, being a baseball coach, some of those things, people say, well, I'd love that job for that pay. Man,
the stress that goes through.
Stressful. Coaching is a stressful occupation. And the ones that can handle it and keep a good grip on their personal lives and even just in some instances, I've seen some people go off the rails in this profession because of that pressure and the need to find different ways to, unwind and relieve that stress. So the ones that can manage all of that, hold it together, and the ones that can do that for as long as he has, that's as he calls it, that's a polar bear on the beach or whatever it is he calls it. I thought he said grizzly bear, but apparently it's polar bear because I saw Hayden Schott's gift the other day. Yeah.
Polar bear. I want to go back to Saturday and just kind of your emotions as you're watching this unfold. They're down 9-0, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching the game on my phone from Christian Cruz's game. I'm like, man, that's not ideal. Not that I thought the game was over.
Mm-hmm.
When they got it to, 9-4, I'm like, okay, we're almost split halfway through. This is just like being down. We can come back from this.
Yeah.
and they freaking came back from it in the first inning. It was 9-8. It was a 1-0 game at the end of one.
Well, look, so I went to lunch, and I did not see you at the gym. I went in the morning. And
Which
then
day is this, Saturday?
Saturday.
I was there.
And then I must have gone after you, and I probably should have gone earlier because this story wouldn't be the way it is.
7:30.
So I was running. I wouldn't have done that. So I was running behind, and then I had some friends say, well, come on up to Traditions. So I went up there, got harassed by Slade and Melissa, as always. So that took some time. Wildfire Bill, John Coffey, the world's biggest grinder. I couldn't even get through the door. So then once that, I couldn't get out of there in time for the start of the game. So I'm like, I'm going to watch the top of the first, and then I want to see our first. I'll drive up after our at bat. I want to see. I don't want to miss Grahovec, Jace, and Braden, and really any of them going on down, Jackson or Shot. But those three, like first inning, I feel like anytime I'm late for a game, they've hit home runs in the first inning. One of those three. So I'm like, I'm going to watch this, then get in the car. I'm right there. Well, that first inning takes forever. I'm done with the lunch. I'm sitting here. Okay. Well, now it's 9-0. And I go, now there's no rush. And get over there. This is going to be. I did think A&M would score a lot of runs.
Yeah.
I was kind of like Olin. 9, yeah, I think the Aggies in 9 at-bats against Georgia in Game 2 will score 9 runs. That's where this offense is at. And I know they actually only did that once in 3 games. Yep. Georgia had better pitching than I thought. You know, we'll talk later about the balls crap. But I mean, in general, I thought they had some big dudes that could throw. They had that reliever throw 100-something pitches. Couple times in that series, Friday and Saturday, where A&M could have knocked a guy out with a bases-loaded situation, and they didn't do it. You know, and they usually do, but, you know, credit Georgia's guys for getting out of jams. But, so I sit there to watch the bottom of the first. And I'm like, dude, there's 17 more innings this weekend. I'm just going to sit here for a minute, see if they get a couple of these back. Obviously, what happened. So I missed the best inning of baseball. From an excitement standpoint, probably in A&M history. You know, obviously any 9th inning walk-off where the Aggies win in a meaningful game, you know, supersedes that. But as far as just entertainment and fun and just, I've never seen anything like that. I was watching it on the big screen at Traditions. So I got there. I saw what? There were 7 innings. I saw 15 out of 16 innings this weekend. I missed the really good one.
You missed.
I missed the really good one.
The one we're going to be talking about.
But but I saw a lot of great baseball this weekend. Friday night, and I thought that was
Friday night was a great
just
baseball
a
game.
high level, like kind of reminded me of like the super regional, the 2 games against Louisville. I mean, those were I think those were both 1-run games, including a walk-off. But I just mean the high level baseball that was being played by both teams. You know, you hold this A&M team to 5 runs, or 6 runs, all of them off home runs. I thought it was just like a baseball game where if one team, you knew that if you made a mistake, it got really tense because you knew like if either team made a mistake or if you walked the guy that was up before Charlie Condon with 2 outs, like could change everything. There was pressure, and A&M, they pitched, they hit, they played defense. That was a great performance, and then Saturday was epic.
Right.
And then look, Game 3 even was exciting, like these Game 3s have been. Unfortunately, the Aggies couldn't get the hit there. They almost, you know, we forget that in that inning when they took it from 5-2 to 5-4, it felt like they were going to at least tie it, if not take the lead. And some of the big bats, you know, weren't able to come through then too. So in that last inning, do I think he doctored the baseball? Absolutely. And whether it was Barstool A&M, had a great video of it, and Brauninger gave a great breakdown. I think it was funny how Barstool A&M did that. They could never do that when Luke Evangelist was there. I never saw him breaking any.
Well, he did mentor the guy who was there, I'm assuming.
Okay, we'll give him a little credit there.
Little.
But anyway, Brauning had a great breakdown of it too. But it's like obviously the guy doctored up the ball. There's no question. Even so, because I do think that goes on more in baseball.
More than we think.
Just like everybody said, oh, the Astros cheated. Did they go to extreme measures? Of course. Do other teams in MLB go to extreme measures? Of course.
Absolutely.
But in college baseball, does probably a pretty decent percentage of pitchers do something? Sure. This guy got caught. Certainly his performance against A&M is a complete outlier. Video now people have dug up that shows he kind of goes to that spot of the glove. He's been doing that a lot lately since going to the pen. So, hey, maybe he's discovered something. Maybe he'll get caught. Even with that, it's still rare that he would have struck out all 6 of those guys.
Right.
I mean, he was pitching well, but he was also, and I think in my opinion, everyone's opinion, he was cheating. And you cheat till you get caught. He might be getting caught now. So maybe the rest of his year won't go the way that it has.
And that might have not been the only thing they were doing this weekend.
Yeah, I don't feel like Georgia, that it sounds like, and not just from, I'm talking about just talking to people around college baseball. I knew that coming in. They've got a pretty interesting reputation.
They're not the only one, too.
In terms of how they're doing it. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. When you go to that website, you'll see all the vehicles that they have. You can get a kind of a feel for the pricing, the vehicles, and whatnot. But what you should do is make the trek out there to Caldwell. It's not a far drive. We'll get into that in a moment. And just kind of experience it all. Experience the vehicles that they have. Get to test drive them. The customer service that they have, which is second to none. You've heard me talk about that. And the overall, just the attitude that they have when you go there to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're going to help you find the right vehicle for you and your family. They did that with us. They can do that for you. That's why R.C. Slocum only buys his car there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, because he knows the value that he's getting and the pricing and the people that work out there. It's about a 15-minute drive from the very edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci still with us here in studio. So the portal's closing here in a couple days, Billy. I know A&M missed out on a couple of the names that they wanted at wide receiver. Sam Brown looks like he's going to Miami. I think that's official now.
Yeah, which was...
You kind of alluded to it on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, both these receivers, unfortunately, I would love to have been talking about A&M landing them, but, you know, a lot of people... If you listen to this show and you follow us on the site, you can be ahead of the Twitter party, the X party. So just pay attention, whether it's Bryce Foster, whether it's, you know, taking a center, whether it's taking, you know, going after these receivers, whether it's in the instance of not landing them, unfortunately not landing them. You listen here, we'll keep you informed, as always, of what's going on. Sometimes in today's day and age, the hard part is it's become such a sneaky game with the portal, with coaches and who, you know, how close to the finish line you get a kid to get on campus and then they don't show up and they're somewhere else, or it's become one of those where it's almost like until the kid tells. But one thing I do want to work on are these national sites. It feels like they're not held to a standard of not breaking that someone's on campus or that someone's made their choice or doing it before the kid. So at some point, I think we need to step back and go, are we going to continue to play the same game? So anyway, that's just one part of it. But as far as like Sam Brown and
Kendall Lambert-Smith.
Yeah, I was just about Kendall Lambert-Brown. Kendall Lambert-Smith and Sam Brown. Those are tough ones for A&M. And the Aggies were in a really good spot with Lambert-Smith, and then Auburn came in. And they were – I don't think they were in necessarily a great spot with Sam Brown, but they were out front of that one. They were at the very front end of that recruitment. They did a great job of getting in on that. I told you one of the things we broke, too, is, you know, he was at practice within – couple hours of entering the portal. He makes the ride up here with whoever he came with and was at practice. So those were both like really productive Power 5 receivers, and I think A&M needs one. I think they needed one. I think they need one. Even if they keep the guys you have, they need one more. I don't know that they're going to get it now because I don't. And look, that's just all the more pressure on Noah Moose, Jade,
Cyrus Allen.
Cyrus Allen, a true freshman like Isaiah Williams. Like, they're going to need guys to step up. And I think it was pretty you can tell how badly they wanted another receiver. And I'm not saying it's impossible they'll get one because they're going to now beat the bushes to find one, but
48 hours roughly, right?
Well, with the portal open,
right? But if people jump in,
yeah,
we can sign them
they're not booted back out.
Right.
It's 48 is just how long until players can go in.
Right. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the NFL draft and the newest commit.
Okay.
We'll get into that next here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy's still with us. Let's talk about NFL draft, but also I want to ask you a little bit about 2025 Desert Edge Arizona's cornerback Jamar Beals-Goins committing to A&M over the weekend. I saw the news, or excuse me, the alert on the TexAgs app, which I love getting, by the way. If you haven't gotten the app, you're missing out. Good stuff there. Excited about the newest edition.
Well, I am, because he's elite athletically, speed wise. He's got length at around 6 foot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are high school height weights or these combines that still don't seem to get it quite right. But even if he's 5'11", I mean, he's got good length for corner, good height for the position. But man, elite athletically, the speed, 11 foot 5-inch broad jump is insane. The 100 meters of 10.4 or better. I mean, this guy can flat out go, and you watch him play. And
Turn on a dime there.
He's just really agile and quick. Just fluid too. You watch his hips, his back pedal, everything's fluid and smooth. He's an explosive athlete too. So this was a guy, I think, a big time talent, and at a position of need, just in the secondary in general, where they're trying to do this really fast upgrade. Elko, we've joked before how a few years ago, and he wasn't complaining, but it's like everyone sitting there saying, even on message boards and everywhere, just saying, Elko loves those big corners. He loves those big giant corners that aren't as fast, but he likes it. That's what he inherited.
Right.
He was working with what he had. It's not that he loved them and not that he hated them, but that was what he walked into. I think what he loves are great cover guys and great athletes in the secondary. I don't think he's sitting there going he wants them to be 6'3", 6'4". I think he wants the best guys that can cover. I think if you find a guy that size that can cover, that's actually a unicorn. That's not normal. More often than not, you want guys that look like Bill Goins. You want guys that's the look you want. And if you really look at this A&M, well, talk about the A&M secondary. I don't know what the starting lineup will look like yet. Mike Elko doesn't know. But there's a chance you could go like, Bryce Anderson, Dalton Brooks, Jaden Hill at the nickel, and like a Chappelle and Des Ricks at corner. Or you might look up and be Des Ricks, Terry Bussey, Hill and Chappelle at nickel, Brooks and Anderson at safety.
Right.
In any, or even say next year, you could see Bussey, Ricks, Brooks, Anderson. Like, what I'm saying is, when you think those out in your head, think about how fast and athletic that group is. It's been a long time since A&M's had. Look in the future of Bussey, Ricks, Bill Goins. Now you're talking about, okay, those are elite level athletes on the island. And you let the best man win and you sort it out like every power program does. But just now you're starting out where you go, these are elite level athletes out there at a position where you, in this league, you have to cover freaks,
right?
First round picks that are not only as good athletically as the guys I mentioned, but they're bigger and oftentimes just a lot bigger in the SEC. So that's the position I think where A&M has struggled the most since joining this conference in terms of what they've put on the field versus what they're asked to play against. Some would say linebacker. I would point out several linebackers that have been really good, including Edgerrin Cooper, who just went second round, Tyrell Dodson, who starts in the NFL, Taro Alaka, Buddy Johnson, and I'm leaving some names out. There have been plenty of good ones. Sean Porter, Jonathan Stewart. They've been good at linebacker.
Right.
They haven't been elite. They haven't spit out a first rounder yet. Edge Cooper was the first, what I would call, high draft pick out of that group. Yep. But they've had dudes. At corner is where they've really struggled since joining the league. And man, of all the positions, you don't want to struggle at. So when you look at guys like Chappelle as a senior who's played a ton of football, and then young talent like Bussey and Ricks, and now this addition this weekend, but also even guys that you got in the portal like BJ Mays, who can really play and is going to compete to start. Will Lee. I just mentioned those other two guys because I just thought the level of athlete. But Will Lee, BJ Mays, like that position is so much stronger today. I didn't even mention Saunders, who he is the big corner, and he's out there, and I think he impressed a lot this spring. So that position has been overhauled overnight, and it's great to see it carrying over into the 2025 recruiting as well between him and Petway. I think they got that position right now looks really strong in this recruiting class.
Let me ask you about Bussey, too, because I believe signing day press conference, Elko was talking about him in the secondary, right? Although he can play multiple ways. Yeah. I wonder, though, with the depth that they have there now and the fact that they still would like another wide receiver, does he maybe get some offensive chances in this system?
I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's too early to speculate on that. I think the idea was for him to come in and be a corner, and he's good enough that he can really make noise this year as a true freshman. You see it in the league. But, yeah, if he's out there practicing and they see him moving around, they go, damn, he could really.
He's a playmaker.
Yeah, so I think that's a TBD.
TBD.
The good news is he's that versatile and he's that athletic.
Nick, put up the graphic if you can of all the commits this year, because a year ago and maybe even 2 years ago, like there were some names, but I feel like they're ahead of where they've been in the last couple of years of the amount of commits right now.
You love what they're doing on the O-line. We just mentioned cornerback, CB, not QB. They got their QB, and it's a big-time name, bell cow, Pied Piper type name that should get you some receivers, that are going to want to play with him. And I really like, and I love a guy like the substance, and by the way, they can really freaking play. Guys like Rink and Riggins on your defense. I think you look at those names, you go, okay, these dudes are really going to add toughness and just physicality and just want to that unit, and that's how those guys play. So you're not just going style and stars, you're going substance as well, and you need that. And by the way, Rink and Riggins are going to each have solid 4 stars by their name too. It's not like these are projects. I just like what their DNA, their football DNA is, and I love seeing guys like that in your front seven.
Yep.
Always. The more of them you can get, the better football team you're going to be. So I love how the class is starting out. You look at it and you know they're going to have to add more at linebacker. There's going to be more in the way of D linemen for sure. It's not like it was before where it's just you just say, man, we don't even have to sign one. We're so loaded, because now you're talking about guys that aren't even going to be here till next year. So what does your roster look like next fall and even the start of the 26 season? That's what you're thinking of when you're recruiting here. So, and then again, I think you're going to see them go heavy wide receiver. I mean, that's the position right now I look at in that class, and I go, okay, when they get going, when Holman Wiggins gets going on this class that he's going to have, the full time to recruit, I think you're going to see some real attractive additions in there at that position.
All right, in the last few minutes of this segment, maybe we need to split it up. Well, let's do Edge here first for NFL draft, going to the Packers, a place that he might start right away. Like
that's a fit. That's a great fit, and I love that he's going for Edge. I love that he's going from one place that really loves football and defense to another place that really loves football and defense. And we know the history of linebackers for the Green Bay Packers, and for Edge to get up there, I think he's going to have a real opportunity to be a rookie starter at some point in that season. And that's all you can ask for. It'll be a high draft pick, second round, and then to be have a chance to start as a rookie, and that opportunity is going to be there for him. And the thing I like about Edge is he just did this, and like we said, he just kept getting better. He's coming off his best season. He is ascending on his way to the NFL. He did not do it because he was just a tremendous athlete, which he is, but he did not do it because he's a tremendous athlete that got drafted off of potential. He did not do it because he had a great first couple of years and his name was on the radar and he played well enough to not fall off.
Right.
No, his best year just happened by far. He's playing the best football of his life as he leaves A&M, and I think he'll be even better in the NFL. I've said it before. When you look at Edge, he's got room to grow in that frame, and he's still, I wonder what he would have looked like with 4 years of Tommy Moffitt. That's what I wonder. Yeah. As opposed to the last couple years in this weight room, where we've had guys, they're not trying to, but they come in and you hear them talk, and they say, yeah, this is a completely different deal. You wonder, because I think Edge still is going to benefit from not only the college weight room, but from going from like 21, 22 years old to 24, 25. Like I think when you start seeing him come back from the NFL, you start going, man, I don't remember him looking that big. And I think he's really going to fill out too and add to. That dude, I said when they signed him, he has the natural ability to know when to time the hit. He's got a tremendous feel for seeing where the ball carrier or quarterback is and anticipating exactly where to detonate, when to detonate, where to aim that target and deliver big hits or hits that almost always take the guy down. And he does a great job of that. And that is just feel for the game. And he's had that since high school.
Yeah. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with one final segment, get into some of the others and their undrafted free agent deals and the other guys picked. It's next on TexAgs Radio. Time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's, who have been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. And as a reminder, they are not open on Mondays. Billy Liucci, let's go through some of these draft picks, shall we? We already did Edge Cooper. Let's do McKinley Jackson there going to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I talked to one of my guys in that organization that was really fired up, and he kind of stood on the table for McKinley. Like, has loved him for a long time as a player, was really excited to get to draft him when he did. I was happy to see McKinley go in the third round because some scouts I talked to felt like he had the potential to kind of fall and get lost through the cracks because he didn't have the best off season.
Right.
But all the scouts I talked to along the way and people that are close, not close to the A&M program, but that come here often, they always really liked McKinley personally. They liked talking to him. They felt like he had good energy. They felt like he was a tough guy that you'd want in the locker room and in the trenches. But I don't think he wasn't a great tester, and he played hurt a lot here at A&M. He played hurt a lot, and I wonder where he could have gone if he'd gotten 4 years of Elko in that defense. But he put some really good football on tape against high-level SEC offenses for a long time. This dude played a ton of football in this league. Like I said, he played hurt. I was told a few years ago, like, hey, McKinley and Haynes King are the two guys in the program that, like, you have to make them not practice. Like, they will practice and play hurt, not injured. I mean, injured, not hurt. Like, no, you're injured. You can't practice. I want to, coach. That was McKinley. And those traits, I think he can be a guy that causes some havoc in the NFL. Will he have a rise like a Justin Matabike? I don't know. Matabike had some truly special athletic gifts, but I do think McKinley's a guy that will find his way onto a field early and play a lot for the Bengals.
All right, we got about 4 minutes. Layden and Aniyah Smith.
Great for both those guys. Great people, great kids throughout their time here. Layden, I think his best football's ahead of him. I think he got, he was poorly coached the last couple of years in a system that didn't allow for his development. I heard some dumbass on ESPN or wherever saying that he was a first-round pick and then A&M. That's not true. They did Layden a disservice early on in his career, pumping him up to be a first-round pick when he hadn't played very much football at all at that point. It was just like some backup time, and they're watching him move people around. They go, oh, first round. That wasn't fair. That was never the case. No one ever that mattered thought he was a first-rounder. For him to go in the fourth round, almost crack the top 100 is great. And I do think his best football's ahead of him in the NFL, and he's got a chance to be a starter up there in New England because he does have the skills and he works his butt off. And as evidenced, a lot of scouts told me he really helped himself with the with the weight loss going into the testing.
And I'm sure the interview process for him, he's just such a
awesome.
bright kid.
He's awesome. And Aniyah,
same thing.
Look, what a steal in my opinion for Philadelphia. Whether it's in the return game, they'll figure out ways to get him the football creatively at that level. He's as tough as they come. Aniyah only went where he did because he's not blazing fast for a smaller guy. So that's the number one thing. And then number two, he got hurt. He's been injured. He had the foot for the combine, obviously the injury that cost him his last season. But when you put pads on Aniyah and the football's in his hand, he's faster than pretty much everyone trying to stop him in the SEC and has been for his entire time here.
Right.
So football playing dude. Said it when he was at Dulles, said it when he was at A&M. It's going to be the same thing in Philly. I think the Eagle fans will love him.
2 minutes left on the show. You got some numbers for us.
Interesting numbers. Duke had no lineman go in the first round, right? Since 2019, Duke has more first-round draft picks than in Texas A&M football. That's 5 years, man. Duke's got more first-round picks. I'm not mistaken. It might be 1-0. It might be 2-0, but it's 1-0 for sure. First-rounders from 2020 to 2024, Georgia with 13, Bama with 18, LSU with 10, Florida with 6, Texas with 3, OU with 4. Arkansas with 1. A&M has 1 versus Bama's 18, Georgia's 13, LSU's 10, Texas 3, OU 4. South Carolina has 3 to A&M's 1. Teams with 1 are Kentucky, A&M, Missouri, Arkansas. Tennessee's kind of surprising there. The one that shocks you, the only team in the SEC with no first-round picks from 20 to 24, I bet it would take people a while to guess this one. It's actually Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, oh.
Yep. Now, total draft picks, total picks during that time. Georgia 49, Bama 46, LSU 43. Where's A&M on here? The Aggies are sitting at 17 total draft picks. Let me read you some numbers. That, including Texas and OU, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 11th out of the 16 teams in the SEC. 11th with 17 picks. And that's a 5-year stretch. That's 20 through 24. They're 11th. So for all the recruiting, and if anybody says to you, hey, A&M did a terrible job of developing talent, the only thing you can do is agree and say, thank God we're moving in another direction. But what I will say is what I said the other day. That's what this staff inherited. That's why you have to go out and sign 20-plus portal people. Right. That's why you've got to not turn the roster over, but get things fixed ASAP, because there's only 1 or 2 first-round projections in the high draft pick projections in the upper classes right now.
See you mañana.
All right.